Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another session of Ring Down Below, an actual play series in the world of Blades in the Dark, a game created by John Harper and 1-7 Design and published by Evil Hat Productions. I'm Eli Kurtz, your game master, and we're going to do some introductions with the players really quick and then jump into the game. But first, I wanted to let you know I'm with the Mythic Gazetteer. We publish a bunch of stuff, including this very show. And yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe, so stay tuned to what we're doing. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus until it shuts down. Yeah, so that's us, and now we'll pass it off to the players really quick. So let's start with Derek.
Hello, I am Derek. I am another small part of the Mythic Gazetteer. As Eli said, we're a small publishing company. Go check out the Blackwood on Drive-Thru RPG. I will be playing Clank this evening, the technical genius who has been through some different technical genius. Or wait, which one is it? Technical or genius?
I was definitely putting quotes around the genius part.
Oh, okay. Well, Clank's been through a few things, and he's looking forward to seeing what mischief we can get into.
All right, very cool. Let's do Baron next.
What's up, everybody? I'm Baron. I got my camera working again for this episode, so that's fantastic. You can find me over at RWD Gaming on YouTube. We have a new campaign starting at the end of the month, so come check that out. And tonight, I'm reprising the role of Jonathan Black, the information guy that is a variety of things at this point. So
cold, most recently, I think.
Yeah, cold. I'm actually cold, to mildly to the touch now.
How exciting. And last but not least, Jeremy.
Hello, everybody. I am Jeremy. I have the YouTube channel, The Erasmus Expeditions, where I have some live plays and a couple of crafting videos, some videos talking about D&D, etc., etc. I also am 1/3 of the Dudes of Yore podcast that can also be found on YouTube with my friends Jeff Doty and Chad Nick. So go check us out. And yeah, I am going to be playing the spider from the Dagger Isles named Benji Overstreet. He's a troubled individual, and it only seems to get deeper. So I'm really kind of excited to see where this ends up.
All right, cool. All right, so one last thing I want to do before we get started is that the Mythic Gazetteer is recently a new member of a group called the Indie Game Developer Network. We are a network, volunteer-run organization that helps independent game developers to share resources and ideas with each other and basically just elevate everybody involved. And one of the things that I wanted to do is highlight some of the other creators with IGDN. So the first one I want to highlight is Craig Campbell with Nerdburger Games. They recently fulfilled their Kickstarter for an RPG called Capers, which is a game of superpowered gangsters in the Roaring Twenties. There are some themes that are somewhat similar to this game, so I thought it would be a particularly good one to highlight. And yeah, that's I'll have links to Nerdburger Games Twitter and homepage on the show notes, as well as links to all the stuff that we mentioned just now. And with no more ado, let's go ahead and dive into this session. So, welcome listeners! KMGX and its affiliated stations are proud to present Gazetteer Radio's program, Ring Down Below, a tale of labor and struggle from the pitch-dark streets of Duskball. This, our looming metropolis, known to sailors as North Hook, is kept safe from the Deathlands thanks only to the heroic sacrifices of the Leviathan hunters, who prowl the seas for demon blood to keep the gears of Duskball turning and our lightning wall burning through this endless night. We go now to the hidden lair of the crew of the Electrick EEK, where our scoundrels are about to leave for a most important meeting. So, we find ourselves in the workshop of the lair. And I would like to know, Clank, what is a task in the workshop that requires the help of all three of you?
Well, Clank's been working on a secret project, and he's trying to get the others to help him without really telling them what it's about.
Okay. So is there, like, there's a phase of this secret project that requires, like, more manpower, more hands or something than you've got.
Yeah,
So what
I mean,
are they doing?
he's got to do some testing and so he needs some guinea pigs of standing around and catching some things. There might be some small explosions. Um, Small. I mean, we're in our hidden hideout, so it can't be loud things. But he needs some people. Needs a little bit more muscle to work on some stuff.
Very cool. So, yeah, everybody's kind of arranged around the room, ready to catch whatever it is Clank might be throwing at them, or dodge out of the way if it turns out to be dangerous enough, I'm sure. And Clank, you're just about ready to start this test when all of a sudden you hear this, and then there's the sound of water pouring in from some other room, and you realize, the boiler's leaking. Clank, you're the only guy who really knows how to fix this thing, so it's up to you to stop this before your entire lair floods.
Well, first Clank has to go and check somewhere else because he thinks it might have been one of his booby traps going off first.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that. So then he rushes out. Oh, and he stops back in the workshop and grabs his tools to go work on the boiler.
All right, cool. So you head into the room where the boiler is located. You can see the water kind of pooling out of the room already. It's around like the height of the soles of your boots. And you get into this room and you realize, wait, we don't have a boiler. No, we're not doing a thing on a workshop right now. We're on the ship, the Leviathan Hunter ship where we all met. And we were all in the boiler room here, and we're all working to get this thing under control as the Leviathan Hunter ship goes out onto the void sea. Yeah, that's right. So what I need is for somebody to lead a group action to tinker with this boiler and get it under control so that the ship can continue to make headway.
I will lead the action.
Okay, cool. And so what I need from everyone else is just a tinker roll. Everybody makes one, and we just count up all the successes. So it's a little more, when you're leading a group action like this, it's a little more likely that you will get a critical success. But also, if anybody gets a failure, a 1 through 3, then that's 1 point of stress towards Derek. Toward Clank, I should say.
Well, thanks, guys. So risky and all that don't matter?
No, not for now.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
No, I hooked you up. I did good.
You got a 3.
Yeah, well,
And got a 1.
Let me just make sure we know what's going on here. I should probably make sure I know the rules. So, leading a group action is 134, and we have...
You shouldn't have asked me to tinker. I told you I don't know how to do this.
Okay, leading a group action, single action roll. The
Benji,
character leading
Benji,
the
don't
group
touch
takes
that.
1 stress. Yeah. So with their best roll, who rolled a 1 or a 3? 1, 2, 3. So both of you did. Okay. So Clank, you take 2 stress from this action, but working together, you all managed to bring this boiler under control. It was really starting to build up a lot of uncomfortable pressure, and it was about to explode. But then the goes back down, and everything's normal. And outside the boiler room, you can hear the familiar work song of the Leviathan hunters as they go toward the Leviathan hunting grounds. Ring down below, oh ring down everybody. And now we find ourselves in the midst of a terrible storm. It's coming through the doors and the windows that lead into this boiler room. And you're working on it, and then all of a sudden you realize, wait, no, you're not on a boiler room. You're on the EEK. You're on the Electrick EEK, all 3 of you together. And you are racing over the void waters right now. And so right now what I need is a group action, because there's all of this debris in the water around you, all of these crates and things. I need somebody to lead a group action to guide us through these crates and make sure that there's no real harm that comes to the ship or to you as this is happening.
I think that's Benji for the job.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And I think what action are you going to use for this?
Finesse.
Sounds great. So go ahead and give me that roll.
Finesse.
And then everybody
Oh
else.
my god, what is
Oh
happening?
no, is that 3 1s?
What is happening right now?
That's bad news.
That's my 5th roll, and
Ugh.
all 5 of them have been ones so far.
Are we supposed to roll those too?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, so we're doing finesse though.
Yes, finesse.
Can I roll something other than finesse?
Nope.
Well, this is where you trauma out, friend.
So the best one is a 4, huh?
Right.
And there were 2 rolls that were failures. So yeah, Benji, you take 2 stress off of this thing. But you do manage to get everybody through these waters, right? And so the Eek is now racing across the void sea, and you can see at this point there's nobody around you, but you still hear the ringing song of the workmen back on the Leviathan Hunter. Ring down below, oh, ring down, I tell you. And so we're racing over the void sea, and you can see all around you that there's this spectral, electroplasmic lightning that's on all sides of the Eek, about 50 yards out, and it keeps constricting around you. And you can see that there are these electric tendrils that are reaching closer and closer than the actual ring itself, right? This is, and you can almost hear the wailing of spirits inside this ring of electroplasmic energy that's constricting around the Eek. We need somebody to try and push this ring back and try and get rid of it before something goes terribly wrong.
Well, I think that'd be me.
All right. Two sixes? Very nice. That's what we needed. And I need, well, we could do a group action. Do you guys, I think maybe pooling resources here is not as wise as just Black acting on his own. Is that what I'm understanding?
So you want us to roll a tune?
Well, it depends. I mean, we're already at a critical success, so maybe everybody else rolling isn't really necessary at this point. So, Black, this is a critical. What does it look like? What do you do to push back this electroplasmic energy that's racing toward you?
So, obvious rule number 1 of the Electrick EEK is don't stand in the boat while the boat is moving.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm doing just that. I slowly stand up and hold the shattered charm from earlier in my hand and push this energy back with maybe some blood is dripping out of my nose now.
Nice. Okay, cool. So you're dealing with this, and you've got, it's not actually like you're hampered or anything, but it was definitely a strain. You've got this blood coming out of your nose now. And again, you hear the work song of the Leviathan Hunters. Ring down below, oh, ring down, yes, I meet up with the devil. And you realize you're no longer on the Eek, racing across the void sea with the city of Doskval looming up ahead of you. No, you're not. And you see, the void sea is a tricky place because above you is this broken sky where you can see cracks in the void, and there are things that aren't stars that are shining down on you. And then beneath you, you can just see this ink dark water. And for some reason, even though you can't see more than 2 or 3 feet underwater at a time, you can still see similar lights that aren't stars that are burning unfathomably far below the surface of the water. But the void sea is tricky, and you realize that here on the Eek, you weren't racing on top of the water. You were underneath the water, clinging to the surface, racing underwater with the sky falling away beneath you. And now you get to Doskval, and you enter the safety of the lightning barrier, and you can see the docks looming in front of you, several stories tall, with these giant Leviathan Hunter ships moored, and then down closer to the shoreline you can see smaller boats and everything. But you're still standing upside down on the surface of the water, and you're looking beneath you at the city spread out far and away, and you can see above you there is this hellish void of water. And you can see these lights burning far away, and you don't know what they are, but you do see there's fire on the dockside, and there are spirits that are flying up into the sky and dissipating and going into the ghost field, and you can see that there's just carnage everywhere. People are tearing each other apart, and you can see that one of the ships or a few of the ships have the logo emblazoned of Fitz Imports and Exports. You can see that some of them have Haus Freud. You can see that the dockers are scrambling around everywhere. And then as you are looking up, you start to feel this glow on your chin, and you look down and you can see something that is familiar and terrifying. It is the light of a Leviathan surfacing from deep below. And you know that this is the ring down below. Oh, the devil, he tell me he praying for the sinners. And so what I need everyone to do is to make some sort of roll to will yourself out of this situation. Any kind of action that you want. But let's start with Clank. Let me know what action you're taking right now.
Clank's gonna wreck.
You're going to wreck. Okay. And
Yeah,
what does
so
wrecking
he
look
sees-
like out here?
So he sees a Leviathan coming, and so, I mean, he just has everything in hand. He's got to make something to make this thing go away. So he's just gonna make a loud explosion.
Nice. Okay, cool. So you've got like some sort of bomb or something on your person that you can use to do this.
Yeah, and actually, I have a blinding light object.
Ah, that's right. Okay, so you can use that to wreck. All right, so go ahead and give me that roll then. Position and effect don't matter here. All right, so you got what, a 6? Is that the best? 5 or a 6?
6. Yep.
Okay, nice. So you managed to will yourself to a place where you're not like this anymore. And Black, what about you? What are you doing to get out of here?
I think that I'm focusing on this light so hard, and it's like causing me so much stress that I'm kind of like going into a panic attack or something. So I'm gonna use study to like fragment my mind out of here.
Nice. Okay, cool. So you're just trying to like understand the situation and think your way out of this.
Yeah.
Cool. So go ahead and give me that roll. A 6, not bad. All right, so you're racking your brain to try and figure out what's wrong with this situation. And finally, Benji, what about you? What are you using to get out of here?
A different die roller.
Come on, surely the 6th die is the charm, right?
Good lord. I can only go up from here, I guess. Or at least maintain the status quo. I think these Leviathan hunting ships have to have some kind of lifeboats. So Benji is getting one of these lifeboats and is using it and his skill behind one of these small craft to get the fuck out of here.
Nice. Okay, cool. So go ahead and give me, I guess that's finesse then?
Yeah.
Cool. So give me that roll.
Okay. Four.
A 4? That's not bad. So you are striving to get after one of these lifeboats so that you can get out of here. And all 3 of you, we've got Clank, who's using his blinding light technology to try and flash against the looming and growing light of the Leviathan Hunter over above you. We've got Black, who's just hunkered down, thinking so hard about, what's wrong with this situation? How can I get out of it? And then we've got Benji, who just takes off, running underneath the surface of the water to try and get to the place where he can maybe crawl through to the other side and grab one of these boats. And then all of you have an occasion. Benji stumbles and falls on his hands and knees, and he's looking down into the sky beneath him. And Clank is kind of shielding his eyes from his own blinding light technology, and he's looking down as this is going on, and he can see the sky as well. Black, of course, is doubled over, thinking really hard. And you all notice that the sky is empty except for a single crack that's directly beneath you. And then there are 5 stars arranged in a circle around this crack in the sky. And these 5 stars form a kind of ring. They start to swirl around and they become a unified ring of light down below you. And all of a sudden you find yourselves stirring from a reverie in the workshop. And Clank, you're holding this device that you were going to test with the other two. And you other two, you're in the position to actually do the testing on this device. But you have no idea how you got here. It doesn't make any sense. What's going on right now? The only thing you know is that the terror, the stress that you felt in this experience you all shared just now is gone. So whatever you accumulated, you can get rid of now. And also, you felt pure desperation in those moments. So first we had a tinker roll that everybody participated in. Everybody can add an experience point to the tinker attribute. And then we had finesse to pilot the EEK together. So you can add an experience in that attribute as well. And then we had an attune roll, but only Jonathan Black participated in that one. So Jonathan, you can add an experience to the track for attune.
So for those tracks, not for insight, prowess.
Well, like for example, finesse is a prowess action, so you add one to prowess for the finesse roll.
Sorry. So
Yeah.
Does it like we have like a specialty or crew? Does that affect?
No,
That
that's
at all?
for downtime. If you choose to train those
Excellent,
attributes,
okay.
then you gain the extra experience. Yeah.
Well, I was one tick under, so I just rolled my prowess.
Nice. Congratulations. And then also, though, everybody made their individual roll to escape. It was wreck, it was finesse, it was study. And you can add a point to the appropriate track for those rolls as well.
So, if I rolled finesse, you're talking about putting another point into prowess.
Yeah. So it would be like you've maxed out your track, and now you have one more pip in that track.
Right. Okay. But then you also were just talking about we all made our escapes. So where does that need to go?
So let's see here. You added your experience for the group actions that happened. And then you had the one more finesse roll, which was also a desperate position. And so you add one more experience to the prowess track for that. And if you've like filled up the prowess track, then you just clear it and add it to an otherwise empty track. Does that make sense?
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
You said get rid of the stress we just accumulated, but just what we just accumulated, not any other stress that we had.
Correct. Yeah. Only the couple or 3 points or something that you got during this opening scene.
Okay.
All right. So you're all standing here, and you have a moment to look at each other and realize what's been going on, and that for some reason you had this experience that you can't explain, but it seems that the danger is past.
Clank has like a lit fuse in his hand, and he's really confused, and his hand is just going closer and closer to like set this thing off while he's staring.
Would either of the other guys notice this?
Sorry, I was right in the middle of trying to type something into chat. I had a question. Yeah, I think Benji has probably kind of shaken himself free and like actually stumbled to his knees and his hands here in the physical world, similarly to what happened in whatever was just going on. And he kind of looks up for a second and happens to be like right at eye level to where this fuse is like burning. Clank.
Yeah, Benji.
You've got there's could you put that out, please?
Where did this come from?
Clank, put it out. He's just gonna like collapse face first onto the floor.
Did y'all see that?
What the hell just happened? Terrifying.
I don't know. You all saw the same thing.
I remember a boiler.
Oh fuck! I forgot about the boiler.
Right, but
That happened.
We were
I remember
racing
that.
on the. We
Benji,
were
you
racing
got
on the
that.
Eek.
You got that burn from that.
Yeah. I look down at like wherever I would have been burnt. Probably like the my left forearm or something. And if I don't see anything, no, no, it's fine, but it's in my head, like it really happened.
Then we were on the Eek.
Yeah, but the ring,
There's wreckage. There's wreckage in the water.
it, it was a devilfish, Leviathan. What the hell's going on?
Man, brings back bad memories.
Yeah, but it was vivid, like we were dreaming. But
I think at this point I'm like looking at maybe an empty cup that was sitting on the table and like some vodka or Dusk Valiant vodka, which is probably just ethanol. Pour a cup. I'm shaking visibly. I have been for the last since I fell in the water. Oh man. What were we just doing? What happened right before this? How did we get here? I don't fucking remember. Actually, I have a drink.
So as you all are kind of grappling with what's just happened to you, one of your propaganda gangsters comes in. This is a man named Ilson, and he walks in. He's like, "Hey, what's going on in here, huh? You all look like you've seen a ghost."
I would probably actually look to Benji in like an apologetic look, because I think me and Benji have not been on the best terms since what happened in the last score. And nothing, mate. What do you got for us?
Well, I just wondered if you were ready to go to the Dockers meeting.
Are we ready to go to the doctor's meeting?
I didn't even remember about the meeting.
Yeah, they asked to see you. They want to talk.
Oh, I'm in fine shape for talking. Sure, why not?
Yeah, of course, of course.
What could possibly go wrong, right?
At this point, Clank realizes that there's someone in his room looking at his secret project, and so all of a sudden he just throws a sheet over his thing and like stands in front of it.
All right.
You didn't see nothing.
No, sir, not me. But let's get out of here, okay?
Yeah, hold on, Ilson. Shut the door. Clank, what the hell is this? You've been walking around with secrets for the last... I don't know. What the hell are we looking...
It's almost done, and then all of our worries will be handled.
Benji?
Yes, Jonathan?
You don't have anything to say about this secret project that we're helping in? You've been helping in that you have no idea what it's about?
No, I've actually been a little preoccupied lately.
Okay. Right. I retract my claim then, Clank. Carry on.
All right, so Ilson kind of opens the door, and are we ready?
Yep, looks like it. No.
Okay, come on then. Come on. So he leads you out, and the plan was to meet up, as is common for these Dockers meetings, to meet up in the alleys around the warehouse that you normally gather in. This is Helker's warehouse. But you get to that section of the docks, and you realize that it's not suitable for meeting, after all. Not right now, because this section of the docks has all these signs plastered all over it now. These signs that say in these big, bold letters, things like, you know, you need your bosses. They give you work. Appreciate them. Do what they ask. Don't. Sedition is criminal. With these big stylized pictures of Iron Hook Prison to match them, and it just seems really hostile there. And you notice that there really aren't many dockers there right now. It's off hours, so they wouldn't be. But the dockers who are there seem pretty bent on getting somewhere else quickly, right? And so you eventually, one of the dockers you track down, the docker's like, "Oh, yeah, they said to meet you at Black as Ink. They didn't want to meet here this time." And he kind of looked at one of the signs and he says, "It doesn't feel safe, you know."
Probably like smack him on the shoulder. Why didn't you take us there in the first place? Go.
Sorry, let's get out of here. So you all are walking down the shorefront path, and you can see there are these two docks, these two giant Leviathan Hunter wharves that were destroyed in the course of your race. And you can see that there are these like little ruined docks that are just barely kind of poking off of where the dock should be, but then there's still a bunch of debris and stuff in the water that's proved pretty difficult to clean out. Eventually, though, you make your way to Black as Ink, and when you get there, there's a somewhat familiar Eruvian fella. He's an old guy, and he's got his banjo with him. And this is the same guy who's been singing songs to open and close every single one of the Dockers meetings. And he's sitting there, and he's like, "Yeah, well, you know, we got ourselves a real pickle. We got those bosses on our backs, and they're trying to get us to do what they want. But the thing is, we got our own rights and demands, don't we?" And everybody, "Yeah, we do." It's like, "Yeah, and you know what we're going to do?" "Yeah!" And it's like, "What are we going to do?" "We're going to dump the bosses off our backs." And he's like, "Yep, and that's your part of the song. So if we get to it, you know where it is. Why don't you just join in with me, all right?" And so you all are kind of filtering into this tavern as this is going on. And there are, you know, several dozen dockers who are riled up and ready to go. And so our Eruvian minstrel starts plucking on his banjo and goes, "Are you poor, forlorn, and hungry? Are there lots of things you lack? Is your life made up of misery? Then dump the bosses off your back. Are your clothes all torn and tattered? Are you living in a shack? Would you have your troubles scattered? Then dump the bosses off your back. All the agonies you suffer, you could end with one good whack. Stiffen up yon reduffer and dump the bosses off your back." Turns out dockers are not very good singers.
You're not a quartet.
Yeah. But everybody has fun. And
I would assume like everyone else is done, and then you hear Clink saying "back."
Yeah, he's the one who's furthest behind out of everybody. That makes sense. So this meeting, our Eruvian minstrel, he kind of gets off, and he gets off the podium, and he comes over to sit down with the rest of everybody. And then this fella by the name of Tuto, he gets up, and he says, "All right, well, you know, everybody's here now, so we can start our meeting. And well, I guess the guests of honor, of course, we got Benji, and we got Black, and we got Clank over there, and most important of them, I suppose, is, well, it's Black, because he's been working to bring us all together. So Black, why don't you come on up here and say a few words?"
Black is like just snuffed out a cigarette walking in. "Oh, yeah, absolutely." Walks to the stage, kind of apprehensively. He's good at talking to people, but this is probably one of the few times he's talked in front of more than a handful. So he goes up on the stage and goes to a podium or some sort of center spot. Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? I see we had to rearrange the location for the evening. Hope that wasn't too troublesome for anybody.
Nah, it's fine. Nah, we're here now. That's the important part.
Exactly. We're here now, and that's what matters. And I'm sure you've all seen the signs, really bringing down the wharf.
Yeah, trying to keep their boots on our necks.
Yeah, exactly. Can't let that happen. We're so close. We just need to push the cogs into motion, if you will.
So close to what? One of them says, but then Tuto kind of gets up and is like, first, before we get into the proper business, thanks, Black, thanks. I'm not very good at leading meetings, but I have tried, since Dava got out of here. And then he kind of spits.
You do a great job. I will happily relinquish the stage.
Thanks much. So a bit of news first, everybody. We know everybody's noticed that the Leviathan Hunter ships are gone. They're out on the Void Sea. They just picked up and left last night. It was real mysterious. And everybody knows, too, that the Bluecoats are trying to round up those grinders over on the eastern side of the docks, and we're all trying to steer clear of that. Although I know, Jaff, you got the wife and kids over there. It's gotta be tough going home at night. I hope we're giving you the escort you need to get home safe. Jaff kind of lifts up a thumb and and then Tuto is like, well, and speaking of those grinders, by the way, everybody knows, of course, that there's some new big old nasty Scovlander in town who's tussling with the grinders' Lieutenant Cersei, trying to figure out which one of them's gonna control things. And well, he kind of turns to Black at this point, and he's like, well, the thing is, Black, we've been sitting on this fire oil that Clank got us for a couple months now, and I know Dava cutting out kind of set us back, but the Leviathan Hunters are split, and the bosses are still not giving us work, and we all want to know, when's change gonna come, Black? What are we gonna do about this? What are we all gathering together for?
Well, to be honest, I'm happy you asked, because it's these kinds of questions that will get us to be where you're looking for. I mean, you said it yourself. You're looking for work. We've been sitting on the fire oil. I think now, more than ever, the time is right to push our bosses for equal labor opportunities and safety regulations.
Yeah, the boss needs us. We don't need him.
That's right. Yeah, here. And somebody else is like, yeah, and we want bigger pay, too.
Livable wages, being able to work a day and not have to wonder if your paycheck will cover it to next week. These are the things that we demand. We're not asking.
And access to apothecaries.
There's a woman who chimes in, yeah, that's right. I got kids with the fever.
Apothecaries.
And then there's some old guy who's like, and I'm tired of working double shifts. I only want to work the one.
And you shouldn't have to. How old are you, sir? Well beyond your double shift working age.
Gentleman doesn't tell. Everybody kind of laughs.
My point still remains. We work too hard. They need us. We don't need them.
Yeah, everybody chimes in at that note. And a couple of people are kind of looking conspicuously over at Benji at this point. He's definitely the finest dressed person in the room, even if he's dressing to be inconspicuous. Like, inconspicuous to a noble is a little different than inconspicuous to a dock worker.
Benji's just kind of leaning against a nearby wall, kind of with his arms folded across his chest. Just a few paces from wherever Black is actually making this kind of announcement from. And he's just kind of watching everything. But he's almost got like this 1,000-yard stare. Like he's looking around the room, but he's not really looking at anybody or anything that's here.
Mm-hmm.
He's lost in his own mind.
Okay. You don't notice it at first, but there's an Aruvian woman who's standing next to you. And you hear like this really muffled sound of a voice kind of echoing through your haze. And then you feel like an elbow on your shoulder kind of shocking you out of this. And you look over at this woman, and she's got one eye missing, and it's sealed over with some pretty fresh scar tissue. It looks like she might have been a victim of some of the violence that's been going on in these tough times ever since the Leviathan hunters stopped going out to sea over the past few weeks. And she's like, "Hey, hotshot, you paying attention? What's your stake in all this, huh?"
I'm sorry. Do I know you? Because you're talking to me like I know you.
Do you need to? You're a noble here. You're not like us. What are you even doing here?
You see that man standing on the stage there?
Yeah, Black, I know him.
Well, how well do you know him? Because if you knew him, then you would know who I was. I'm Benji Overstreet.
What? You're... Oh, you're... So you race the EEK?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm doing here. I don't just come down here for fun, you know.
Well, she extends her hand and she's like, Imbra's the name, and let me tell you, I really appreciate what you've done to raise, your voice against the bosses and try to help the dockers, and every, I always tell my kids, every time you win a race in those canals, that's one step forward for us, is what I tell them.
Well, yeah, maybe you can bring him down and see the EEK sometime.
Yeah, kind of a shadow passes over her face, and she's like, "Well, I mean, we got troubles, I don't want to bring my kids out and about if they're just gonna get, stabbed in an alley by some grinder or some blue coat who's overzealous."
He kind of looks at her eye, kind of not meaning to, but kind of being drawn there by the reminder. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, well,
Imbra, was it?
yeah, Imbra.
Yeah, well, maybe if trouble is what you're trying to avoid, then maybe be a little kinder to who you approach and the way you do it.
She immediately kind of bristles, and she almost has like a reappraisal of you, and she's like, "Well, maybe there's some sense to that." And then she moves away from you into the crowd.
Man, never meet your heroes.
So then Tuto, he's back up on the stage with Black, and he's like, "So Black, I mean, you're telling us the time is right. You're telling us it's time to fight for all these things, and here's what we want. We want you to lead us. We want you to help us get this stuff. We need some guidance. We need to know, what do we do? What are we attacking them? Are we putting down our tools, or what's going on? I don't know."
We never put our tools down.
A couple of the mechanics from the dockers are like, "Ah!"
See, that's what we can't do. We can't stop. We can't give up. They're not going to fix the docks. They're not going to find replacements. We do it without them. We do it as a community. We work together. We show them that we don't need them. We come together. We pool our resources. It'll be tight. It'll be hard for a lot of people, but it'll be for everyone together.
That's what
I'm
she
not-
said.
Thank you, Clank. I was hoping someone was picking up what I was putting down. In the words of some powerful woman in our history, that is exactly what she said.
Okay, cool. So, from the perspective of mechanics, this is the entanglement from last session coming back to bite you. This is a favor. And the Dockers have asked you for a favor. They want you to do something with all the stuff that you've been building toward this whole time. And you can either agree to do it, or you can forfeit 1 rep per tier of the friendly faction, which means 3 rep total, or you can lose 1 status with them. And so if you do want to do something about it, then now would be the time to kind of decide generally what it is you want to do to mobilize these Dockers.
I think we need a rally parade.
A rally parade, huh?
Taking suggestions from the crowd. Clank, did I hear a rally parade?
So we have all of these super burly, tough as nails motherfuckers itching for something to do.
Why,
And
thank
right
you.
now, our neighborhood is a mess. Their neighborhood is a mess. So I think we form our Dockers into a clean up the streets movement.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Very cool.
Like-
I'm assuming, I know Benji, you dropped the accent, but I'm assuming this is something that you maybe would have said out loud.
Well, Baron was just looking for suggestions. So
I mean, that and I've been trying to be in character, and I don't know if I'm getting what I'm trying to say across. Something of the sort of like rebuild the neighborhood ourselves.
yeah, I like that.
Sure.
So this is probably something that we
It-
discussed ahead of
it-
time.
Yeah, that'd be good. And then if we rebuilt a Leviathan wharf, they might like us a little better too.
Yeah, I think that was a good idea.
Ah, okay, cool. I like that idea. So you're thinking,
Maybe consult the mechanics on how to go about this efficiently to get like some praise for them as well. Consulting them, getting their opinions, making them feel important. That's what I'm looking for.
of course. So you're thinking something involving like a rally and a march, something involving cleaning up the streets, something involving repairing these wharves or something like that. Very cool. So I'm picturing,
So instead of a destructive like protest, it's a constructive protest.
yeah, it's mutual aid. You guys have been abandoned by the forces of the city, and so you're going to make things work on your own. It's a really classic solution for labor, supporting each other through the hard times. So I like this idea, and there's a murmur of support that goes through the crowd as well. It seems like nobody's really thought about this. People are like, well, what's a fire oil for then? Why do we get all this stuff to go cause a ruckus if we're gonna be building something? I don't get it.
Energy. Clank, what's the output of pure energy the fire oil could produce?
5,000%.
5,000 motherfucking percent.
Somebody in the
Like
crowd is
it.
like, what? 5,000?
Leviathan hunters want to hold out on us. We'll hold out on them. At least till a deal can be made. The point I'm trying to say is we can sustain ourselves. They need us.
I've got the perfect plans for this.
It better not be secret this time.
All right, cool. So my original thought was that maybe I would. So the meeting kind of comes to a triumphant close, and everybody's like, "Hurrah! Yeah, let's get out there and do this!" And then somebody's like, "Let's do it right now!" And somebody else is like, "No! I'm sure they need a little bit of time to plan." And somebody's like, "We'll do it in the morning."
Tonight we drink.
Yeah.
Yeah! So everybody gets crunk.
Our friend, the bard, starts playing again.
Oh yeah, of course. He's pumping out all kinds of hits. Yeah, absolutely. Just one after another all night long. And so, let's see. I had originally thought that I would give you all an opportunity to like gather information to try and identify things that you could do around the docks, but you've already done a great job of doing that. So like, would you like to, I know you can like spend a coin to do acquire asset and downtime to prepare for your eventual score. You can do some additional gather information to try and figure out more things about what you could do, just kind of zero in on the details of your score or whatever. But what are you thinking? Does anybody have any desires right now?
I guess as a group, what is our exact score just to revitalize the community?
Yeah, I mean, in really concise terms, it sounds like you want to take the reins. You know, you want to make things happen for yourselves, and that's how you want to be heard by the establishment.
Maybe we could use a downtime to try to convince Addie to contribute to the reconstruction.
Yeah, okay.
Aren't you trying to get a date with her or something, Clank?
I mean, Addie's a handsome person, but I mean, I'm with Stasia. I mean, they work together. I've got respect for Addie.
Oh, I was just poking fun at you.
Somebody's
I think
like,
it's fair to say we would all go for Addie. Am I right? They would treat you to a good time.
so I really want I want to do this acquire asset where you're going to Addie to try and get support here, maybe like funding for some timber or something to rebuild the wharves or whatever. But I think the way it's got to be is that Stasia is supposed to have a date with you tonight, and Addie could have a date with you too. So it's like a classic 2 dates, 1 restaurant situation where where you're doing like elaborate costume changes and going back and forth between the two of them.
No, there are 2 restaurants across the street from me.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. And so
He has to run back and forth.
and of course Benji and Black are only too happy to help facilitate this.
We're actually both only aware of one of the dates. So
Yeah.
I'm actually in one restaurant and Benji is in the other.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, he convinced both of us separately to help him.
So whoever is sitting with Addie is having a great time. Whoever's sitting with Stasia is like, food's great. Food's great.
Turned Blaze in the Dark into a rom-com.
and I'm here for it. I'm here for it 100%. So here's what I'm
tails
thinking.
on my coveralls. I like this.
I don't tails on your coveralls. I love it. So let's do some downtime actions. We know that we want to do at least one, and you have to spend a coin to do a downtime action outside of downtime. But what I'm thinking is that if Clank wants to do a downtime action to acquire this asset, and if Benji and Jonathan don't have any particular ideas about things they want to be doing right now, then you two could pay coin and you could indulge your vice while this is going on. You know, I mean, the thrill of a double date that can't come to light could be a potential thing for Benji. He's a thrill seeker.
Yeah, I've only got 1 stress, so I don't know if I want to indulge my vice.
Oh, okay, so you're pretty low. Okay, then you have no need to. Yeah, I was thinking you were like coming up against your trauma limit.
I am coming up against my trauma limit.
Yeah.
But I have 3 out of 4 trauma. I'm fairly low stressed somehow.
Okay.
I will say I'm enjoying what you're wanting to do here, but I'm not sure you want Clank to be the one to try to convince someone to contribute to.
Well, you see, the nice thing about acquire asset is that like you're insulated by the mechanics here. So all you have to do is roll for the crew's tier, and then the rest of it we just take care of with like a quick couple of sentences of narrative.
Okay. Because like you don't want me to try to convince anyone to do anything.
Right, no.
Come
I think
on, I tried to motivate a union. You can at least try.
I think this is a situation where we should maybe lean on the mechanics instead of doing the mechanics first and the narrative afterward, instead of the other way around. Okay, so, and Black, do you have any interest in indulging your vice or doing any other kind of downtime action?
No, I'm going to think about some sort of asset that I can acquire.
Okay, cool.
Do you mind if we use a group coin to do this?
Not at all.
Yeah. Benji, I want to point out, too, that you could spend a coin to either work on a long-term project or train, and that would be 2 experience points potentially if you choose train.
I might work on a project.
I'm gonna do that because I'm one away from rolling over my resolve.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
So-
there was a question earlier in the chat about the limit for attribute points or action points.
Mm-hmm.
And the limit is 3 unless you take,
Okay.
I think it's called like the expert special ability or something. It's a crew special ability one way or another. And that allows you to bump it up to 4. But otherwise the limit is just 3 dice.
Okay. I put the one that I earned earlier in Prowl.
Cool.
Okay, so remind me how do I just roll fortune to see for advancing a clock, or do I choose an action?
Whenever you advance like a long-term project clock, you pick a particular action. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Then yeah, I'm gonna try to work on my LaRose dirt.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Secondary clock for that.
Cool.
And I think ooh, okay. I think as hard as it might be, I actually think I'm gonna try to consort. And I'm gonna hit Jenna up.
Cool. To work on your long-term project. Okay, so I'm trying to remember everything that we determined in the previous iterations of this. I think
Fitz is his contact.
Uh-huh.
Because he frequents brothels in Silk Shore.
Yeah.
LaRose does. And I don't remember exactly how Fitz is tied to that, but for some reason Fitz was the one to squeeze to get information.
Yeah, that makes sense, but also I think we actually had already acted on that because the last score was to sabotage Fitz's plans. And so you've primed Fitz, like you've buttered Fitz up basically for manipulation. And I think then that means that you're working with a new project at this point.
Okay. Because you had said initially that it was going to be 2 clocks to fill, and we'd only done the first one so far.
Okay.
But yeah, if we've done through or gone through that, then I'm.
You know what we could do instead? We could do a new long-term project, a 4 o'clock or something, to make LaRose's takedown easier, right? And that would give you an advantage because, like, you all are a tier 1 gang, and the Bluecoats are tier 3. So any action that you take against LaRose is going to really have an effect on your effect. Like, whereas most of the time you guys are getting away with standard or great effect, you would be dealing with a lot more limiteds in this regard. And so you could do like a quick project to use what you've got so far to, like, I don't know, discover some sort of weakness with LaRose and kind of level the playing field a little bit.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'll definitely do that then.
Yeah, because like you're ready to strike against him, but if you can make it more favorable for yourself, then that's all the better.
Absolutely. That's what I'll go with.
Cool. All right, so that's consorting with Jenna to weaken LaRose. And Black, did you have any ideas about what you wanted to do?
I would like to get information on Celine.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're looking, is this like a long-term project or what?
Yeah. If you
Okay.
guys don't mind letting me burn one of the group coin. Yeah, do we have group coin left?
I don't know.
I don't either.
We have 3.
Okay.
So we can take another one down.
Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to mobilize the Dockers against Celine because Celine was in league with, I believe, the Leviathan Hunters.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So maybe I'm just trying to hunt down her Actually, maybe not hunt. Study. Her contacts, her resources, her like when they come in, who do they go to sell and offload? I'm trying to snake her people away from her.
Cool. I dig it. And let me see here. Mobilize the dockers. So last time I think you had filled 2 out of 6 segments on that clock.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So first of all, let's do Clank's acquire asset roll. Actually, let's save that one for last. I think that's going to be the most entertaining. Let's do this thing with Celine first. So what you need to do is pick an action. What action are you using?
I'm gonna use study.
Study? Okay, so you're still just like rubbing elbows, talking to people, that sort of thing, trying to figure out or trying to convince the dockers that like Celine and her Leviathan hunter ship are the target that they should be going after. Is that right?
Yep.
All right, cool. So go ahead and give me that roll for study.
Rough.
3 is the best one. All right, so that's 1 more segment. So you bring that up to halfway, 3 out of 6.
That's better than nothing.
Yeah, it's a little progress anyway. And then Benji, you've got consorting with Jenna to find a way to weaken LaRose. So you want to give me that consort roll and see how far we get?
Yes, sir. Consort. Want to double check. Weaving the web. You gain 1 die to consort when you gather information on a target for a score. So I don't know if that would really apply because I don't think he's the target of our score necessarily.
Yeah, it sounds like he's not the target of this score anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
And plus, this is a long-term project instead of gather information, so...
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, no
Word.
problem.
A 4.
A 4. Okay, cool. So that is going to be 2 segments. So you're already halfway to fulfilling this this clock. Well done. And let's see here.
Clank is busy spiffing up.
Yeah,
Spiffing up.
of course. He's spiffing up, ready for his big date.
Actual grease in his hair.
So you need to roll the crew's tier. And the tier is 1. And so this would be just a fortune roll with 1 die. I am not sure. Well, before you roll that.
I didn't know it was going to do that.
Yeah. Before you roll that, I am willing to let you push yourself to add a die if you want to. I don't know if that's rules as written for acquire asset, but that's the way we're going to handle it here in the finale.
Cool. I'll push myself. So how many stress?
2 stress in exchange for 1 extra die.
I'm doing this for you guys. Yes!
A 6? All right, cool. So this is a fine quality thing. So this is going to be tier 2. And are you asking for like lumber to give to the dock effort, or what are you doing?
Probably lumber and flowers to make things pretty, stonework, just anything that's needed. I feel like we could put Addie's stamp on the docks now.
Ah, okay, cool. So this is going to be like the Freud Memorial Docks is what you're pushing here.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, cool. So here's the deal.
Including a big sign that like renames the area.
With a life-size mosaic.
It's
Oh,
very...
Abby?
You know, Addie is immediately interested in this, but here's the deal. You rolled a 6, which is tier plus 1, so it's going to be a tier 2 quality wharf. But the Leviathan Hunters are tier 5. And so it's going to be subpar for their standards. It's not going to really help them quite as much as you might wish. You can spend coin afterward to bump the level up beyond that, but it costs 2 coin per level to do so. So it would cost 6 coin to be able to bump it up to a wharf that's like on par with what the Leviathan Hunters expect.
It would cost how many? 2?
2 coin per level. And since you're currently at tier 2, if you wanted to get up to tier 5, that would be 6 coin.
I mean, we have 2 coin, and you know, if
I have
we've
a single
been,
coin.
and I have a coin, so we've got 4. You don't. Well, okay.
You
Can
could
I
bring
dig
that
into
up
my
to like
stash?
you can, but to draw from your stash, it's at a rate of 2 to 1. So you would have to take 2 coin out to equal 1 coin that you can actually use.
Yeah, that's what I would be doing, pulling from my stash.
Well, I don't know if we'll get it up to a 5, but we'll get it better than a 2.
Yeah, we can get it to a 4. I mean, take it or leave it, Leviathan Hunters. Do you want to dock or not?
And Jeremy, and if you want to, if you're willing to take anything out of your stash, I have 2 in my stash, so I can add another coin.
I have a coin that's not in my stash that I will throw in.
Well, it's your 5 then.
So, okay.
I'm broke.
Yeah, I am then too. But I mean, I feel like Clink would do that because
I have my savings.
Right. Honestly, this is accurate because you and I, Clank, both have a little bit more to be involved with the Dockers, I guess.
yeah, I mean,
Benji's just being kind.
we are the boat crew for the Dockers. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you say you both have a coin to contribute. So
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, cool. So you put a massive amount of coin into this. What does that look like? Are you offering your own coin to finance the thing, and you're just going to let Addy put their name on it, or what?
Well, I think we want to show Addy that we're willing to put our back and our own money into this to turn it around and make it a place that people can work and they can provide
Addy,
for their families.
I'm
and
sure
they
Addy
can get
wouldn't
health
mind
care.
us putting our name on something like in contribution to the Addy Memorial, pier here, the crew of the. Actually, will we put we would put our illegal name on?
No, we have to stay in the shadows, I think, because we're already wanted.
Yeah, that makes sense. Although
That's
I will
actually-
say, so Clank
that's
is
actually
like,
true.
Clank is saying these things to Addy.
And as he
It's
does,
a nice
he's, like,
place for them to
standing up
work.
and pounding on the table.
Yeah, it's causing a little bit of a scene, and then Black comes by disguised as a waiter, and is like, "Yeah, you could call it the Addy Freud Memorial Wharf. It'd be amazing," just like what Black said just now. And then Clank is like, "Oh, that's a great idea. Tell you what, you think about it. I'll be right back."
I gotta go.
And
I'll
then-
be right back. I drank a little too much.
And suspiciously, this waiter leaves with Clank. It's the strangest thing. And
He's like pulling off my jacket for me.
and then
It's reversible. It's reversible. I flipped it inside out.
Denim on the other side.
And then 10 minutes later, Clank stumbles back into the room wearing the jacket, but it's upside down. It's like instead of the tails being down, it's like the tails are draped over the shoulders. And
There's like a sauce stain on my shirt.
and Frog is like, "Oh, it must have been quite an adventure in the bathroom." And,
Yeah, you don't want to go in there.
no, but perhaps I do. You don't know me. Well, you do know me, you rogue, you dog, you scoundrel.
So, are you in? Are you in? Can we shake on it?
Let me just review the details really quickly. So you're telling me that in exchange for you paying for lumber, you and the dockers will rebuild one of the wharves, and I get to put my name on it?
Yeah, but you're a fine, upstanding citizen.
Well, of course. Tell you what. I'll contribute a little bit of coin myself. Not enough to cover the whole expense, of course, but enough to cover the basics. Perhaps to get a modicum of the lumber, because you lowly peasant types, I would just feel terrible if you would put all of the effort into this thing and I put my name on it. So what I'm thinking is that this will work out rather nicely for me. And if you are in agreement, all you must do is kiss me right on my cheek.
He lurches forward to do so.
Addy conveniently turns their head, and you plant one square on their mouth.
Sorry. Don't tell stuff.
Black's in the background.
Please don't tell stuff.
And then Addy grabs you by the collars, actually by the tails that are flipping over your shoulders. And it's like, Stasia is comfortable with whatever I tell her to be comfortable with. Now come here, you big lug, and pulls you in closer for like a real kiss this time. It goes on for a little while.
Clank does the leg pop.
All right, cool. But as a result, you do manage to secure some lumber for the docks. There's plenty enough to build this wharf, and now all you really have to do is actually get it constructed. And so
Clink whispers to Black, I feel violated in a good way.
You were violated, mate. In a good way.
So we've been playing for about an hour. I want to take a quick break, 5 minutes or so, to go to the bathroom, refresh drinks, whatever you need to do. For those of you watching, thanks for watching so far, and we will take a quick break, but keep your eyes peeled because we are on the prowl. Hello, everyone. We are back and rip roaring, ready to go. So we have just had quite a bit of excitement going on, and we are going to start our score pretty soon. I think what we should do is spend a little time doing the usual score prep stuff, deciding the plan and the detail and load and all that stuff.
We will decide load before we start the score this time.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you know what? Set load now.
We don't know what we're doing yet.
Yeah. What exactly are we doing?
Okay, fine. Be that way. We'll take it in order. So first things first, we need to decide the plan. So we know that we want to do this rally. We know that we want to, like a march. We know that we want to do some dock repair. And we know that... Is that it? I think that's it.
Clean up the streets.
Clean up the streets a little bit too. Yeah. So I think we should focus on just one of those and say that the other two are happening in the background, and maybe like complications will mean that we have to jump over to one of those secondary or tertiary tasks. But generally we should just focus on the one. And so as a reminder, the plans are assault, deception, stealth, occult, social, and transport. And I could see options for a lot of these, but which one of those three tasks do you want to focus on first? I think we should probably say. Do we want to make this a score about the rally? Do we want to make this a score about the dock repair? Or do we want to make this a score about getting out there and cleaning up the streets?
I think it's all a social connection, trying to connect with the neighborhood, trying to make amends with the Leviathan hunters.
Oh, okay.
That's my vote.
Yeah, negotiation would be like, a social score would be like negotiating, bargaining, or persuading, and the detail would be the social connection. So this might be a story about you going around and drumming up interest among the dockers to get this to happen. Does that sound along the lines of what you were thinking, or are you thinking of something different?
No, I like focusing on the rally.
Okay. Cool. And so then what that will mean is that if you're successful in this, bringing everybody together, then the rest of the stuff will take care of itself. But if you fail in this, then, or if you only get like a partial success in this, then one or more of the things will not be completed. So if we do a social score, the detail is the social connection. So what is your social connection that you're drawing on for this? It doesn't necessarily have to be one of your allies or your rivals. What do you think?
I think it would be from Addy then.
Yeah.
Addy's the figurehead of this movement that we're... As far as people know, Addy is donating all this money to clean up the area and to help these poor, disenfranchised dock workers and their families.
I think, unless we can pick like something slightly more abstract, like just the dockers.
Yeah.
You know what would be cool? Using Addy as the contact or the social connection, and doing like an inversion of the Fat Cat Fett from earlier, where instead of it being a bunch of like nobles who are super decadent and going about their decadent lives, it's a bunch of dockers with really humble means who are coming together for like a uniquely docker style party. And you are going around and trying to drum up solidarity and commitments from these people or something like that. Does that sound along the lines of what you want to do?
Like a big hoedown?
Yeah, something like that. A cookout, something, you know?
Yeah, like a crawfish boil.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
vampiric...
Fish fry.
What was
It's
it?
the fucking leeches. It's the leech.
That's what the dockers eat. It's like a delicacy.
Yeah, with a side of probably mostly not poisoned mushrooms.
It's beans. It's just beans. Beans and leeches.
They have to do something equally disgusting with like sucking the heads of the crawfish out.
Yeah, it's got like a carapace. You have to break the carapace.
Yes. They're little specialized mallets that they
Yeah,
got.
it's like Yeah,
So-
I'm picking up what
Please-
you put down here.
Please tell me that Addie is coming to this.
Well, that's the question I was about to ask. You know, I mean, if we're just doing like a fry sort of situation, I could see it making sense for Addie to be the social connection, like the draw for everybody, because Addie is footing the bill for this thing. Or I could see it being like the social connection is just the Dockers, and then Addie is sort of absent. So which would you prefer to do?
Well, I think it'd be funnier if Addie was there. But
All right.
I think like she dresses down, or should they dress down for this gathering? Like they put on like their Docker like clothes.
Yeah, but it's like a Halloween costume version. Okay,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, I don't want to get too much more into this before we jump into the score itself. But
Sorry.
so what we need to do now is determine the loadout here. So are you going to be inconspicuous, or are you going to be identifiably scoundrels, or are you going to be scoundrels going off to war?
Clank is a scoundrel going off to war.
All right. You're ready for anything. You're loaded down.
I'm normal scoundrel levels.
All right. And what about Benji?
Man, I was gonna go light, but everybody else is all like paranoid. No.
Clank will hand you items if you need them.
It was really cold in that water, mate.
Well, we have 2 extra because of the thief gear, right?
It's true.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with light.
Okay. All right then. So we've got that figured out, and next what we need to do is the engagement roll. So somebody pull up the dice roller, and we will figure this out here. I am going to switch our game board in the meantime. So let me know when somebody's ready to roll.
I have it up.
Okay. Cool. So the first one, you start off with 1 die for sheer luck. First question: is this operation particularly bold or daring?
I don't think so.
I mean, in the sense that you're trying to unite the Dockers, I suppose you could consider it daring, but the action that you're taking, just like hosting a cookout, is really not all that daring. Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? What are
Clank
the...
is there, so yes.
Clank is- What are the factors?
Can they keep Clank from shooting off fireworks?
The eccentricities of Addie Freud.
Oh yeah, trying to manage both Addie and Clank, that might be a pretty complex situation.
Oh, damn it. What's her name, Clank?
Stasia?
Is Stasia here too?
I would imagine so.
Yeah, it's
I mean-
gotta be.
What was the name of the... And Melissa's there. No.
Oh God. Okay. Well, we'll get to that question in a little bit, but for now, are you all serious about making this complex by managing both Clank and Addie?
I think it's complicated because I have people that I want to include that I hadn't told anybody about yet. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's fun.
And I'm dealing with a freshly newly acquired ghost.
Yeah. Okay.
And Clank is unstable.
Yeah. So you know what? In that case, it is going to be overly complex, which means that we're currently at 0 dice.
We fought hard for that one.
Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? Now, I would say the target is the Dockers in this case, because you're trying to drum up support.
They're weakest when they're drunk.
Weakest when they're drunk. And, you know, everybody likes food.
And we're hitting them up as a community. So
I gotta say that if someone came to me and were like, "Hey, we're drinking, we have food, come out and support us,"
Fireworks.
it's like, well, you just hit my weakness because I'm gonna be there.
Okay. So we'll add a die for that, bringing the total to 1. Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? I don't think they do.
So it stays at 1.
Yeah. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation?
Oh, I was gonna get a hold of my my good friend Valeris here to bring the party favors, if you will.
Okay. Valeris is going to get a hold of a lot of electroplasmic cigarettes. Is that the situation?
Woo!
Oh, um, I am going to see if Salia will actually set up like a rain gutter um, relay for them to actually have like a mock canal race with like little boats.
For the kids.
Sure.
I love it. I love it so much. Okay. Tell you what. So
Illegal dock racing for the kids.
normally you get 1 die for including your friends or contacts. I'll give 2 dice if everybody includes a friend or a contact.
Well, Stasia's there to make sure that people's headaches don't get too bad the next day.
Okay, perfect. And that's just another justification for the complexity of the situation. So we were at 1 die, and then I let you add 2, so that brings you up to 3 dice for this. Are any enemies or rivals interfering in the operation? Absolutely, there will be. This is a public gathering in the docks in a very rough and tumble time. And the bluecoats are spread thin, so it's not like they're going to be out in force, but they're absolutely going to interfere with this. So that takes you from 3 dice down to 2. Now, are there any other elements you want to consider? Tier, location, you know.
This is our neighborhood. This is it's
Yeah, I would say that the location itself is a benefit just because we are in like the heart of the community that we're trying to aid here.
Sure. And you can get nightmares fresh from the water, too, to cook up and give to people to eat.
You can do that.
Well, you know, nightmares. Nightmare fish.
Oh. Oh.
Although I'm sure in Doskwall you could definitely, like, siphon a nightmare off of a ghost or something and give that to somebody directly. Why not?
You fish with dream catchers.
Yeah. Sounds great.
so we're back up to 3.
Yeah, I think 3 dice, and unless anybody has any other ideas, I think that's going to be the situation.
We invite the local politician.
The local politician. Well, that would be Mixati Freud, of course. So there
Okay.
you go. All right, so let's see this engagement roll. Let's figure out what we're starting off here. A 4.
Here's a 5.
There's a 5. Okay, still, you're in a risky position when the action starts. So here's the situation. We are gathered in the menagerie. No. So here's the deal. I'm at the bottom part of the place of the overlay, the place that has the map. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking that there's this square right here in the middle of the docks area. Right? It's right across from the North Hook Company building. Not too far away from Ink Lane either.
Which we have never been to the North Hook Company.
Never, but you have definitely or allegedly interfered with them. So, you know, it felt important to put on the map.
I heard it was the Grinders.
That's what I heard too. That's the expertly crafted lie that was passed along to me, and I'm not going to try and change that lie. So you're here, you're gathered in the middle of this clearing. Everybody set up tables. So we've already established that the fare for the evening will be these leeches. I heard some other fish tossed around, so let's refresh ourselves on what those fish are.
The spiny eel. It's like an eel with porcupine quills all along it.
Okay.
I think that there's this creature that is like a blue lobster, but instead of it having like a normal face, it's got like just a face full of tentacles like an octopus.
All right. A
Clopster.
octolobster. There it is.
Octolobster. Avatar, here we come.
I'm thinking of some like void barnacle.
A void barnacle. Yes.
It's like an oyster. If you it filters sediment through the void.
From what I understand,
like
they're
the
really
ones, don't they?
salty and really slimy, but occasionally they do have void pearls inside, which is
I
pretty
heard
exciting.
they're an aphrodisiac.
Oh, exciting. Okay.
They're best raw.
Glow.
There we go. Okay, so they're an aphrodisiac. There we go. Now, I'm going to say that one of the things we see here that is a stark contrast from this decadent party that we saw earlier in our adventures is that there is music here, but instead of it being like a full band that's performing seated upon servants who are naked and dressed and like arranged as furniture, this is just like 4 or 5 guys and gals who are sitting on crates, and they've got instruments that they made themselves. You know, it's like one of those cross stitch frames that's been stretched and added some like tinkling bells onto it to create a kind of makeshift tambourine. And there's like a banjo that's been made out of a gourd. It's actually our Aruvian minstrel friend who's the headliner of this band.
You know, some motherfucker is playing a jug.
Oh, absolutely. There's a guy who just.
There's a methed out version of that guy playing the spoons.
Oh, of course. Yeah. He's just going to town on those spoons for sure.
I mean, I hope there's a bathtub bass then.
Sure. Yeah. There's definitely a bathtub bass in this scene. But what I want to know from each of you is what's one other thing that paints the scene of this very humble, supportive gathering of down on their luck dockers. So let's start with Benji. What's one thing that strikes you coming from nobility about how this party is different from a lot of the parties that you go to?
There is actually a cart, like a carriage that's been parked off to one side, and it has the largest keg that Benji's ever seen on it, and it's been tapped for the evening. And there's literally one person who his entire job for the evening is just to pour people's drinks from that tap.
Nice.
And
yeah.
Of course, everyone that he's serving, he's having at least half for himself.
Of course. Yeah. And this cask actually comes from Black as Ink. It's called Inky Porter. It's their signature beer. Perfect. And so, yeah, everybody's enjoying that. And Black, what about you? What's one really mundane, wholesome thing that makes up this situation?
It's actually a game that they play. It's like little, like probably some sort of cast off from working here on the docks, or like little rings. They don't glow or anything. Maybe some do. They've been like painted or something. They're like little rubber rings that float in the water, and the kids have like small fishing poles that with hooks that are it's a game to try and get these rings out of the water. Some are at different levels in the water, and Black always liked playing that as a kid, so he's kind of watching that from afar.
Nice. All right, and then of course there's also the gutter skiff race, which is another game that's going on. And last but not least, Clank. What's one other thing that's going on here?
There's families. There's moms and dads with kids of all ages, and here just to have a wholesome time. Whereas I would assume an upper class party kids are neither seen nor heard.
Nice. Okay. I really like it. Everything is, so it's still a situation where it's cold. The rain has just stopped, so it's kind of damp everywhere. And the sky overhead is still this void with strange lights shining down and these giant cracks that look into something deeply wrong. And so most people don't look at the sky in this place. And it's still a world that's been shrouded in perpetual dark for centuries. And the fare that's laid out, or the tables that are set up for this fare, are prepared to be filled with disgusting, monstrous food for people to eat. But there's still this very sort of folksy charm of this gathering, and people are, kind of laughing with each other and shrugging off the burdens and the cares of the life that they've been living for the past 2 months especially, but also for the past several years. They've been downtrodden for a long time. But there's a problem. This is a risky situation. And Addie Freud has showed up. Addie's given their introduction. There was a really absurd moment. There was this string of seaweed, of this black, really sloppy seaweed that was like strung across the opening of this field so that everybody could have a nice little ribbon cutting ceremony to get into it. And Addie didn't realize this was going to be the case. Addie insisted, "Oh, I just absolutely must cut the line and let everyone into this grand soiree. I wouldn't have it any other way, because I am, of course, the star of the evening." Yes, well. However, they were given a river eel to cut this slop with, this stuff, right? And it was really hard to wrangle the river eel. And in fact, it ended up being mostly symbolic. There were 2 dockers who had to hold the river eel, and Addie just put their hand on top of it for a second, like a finger or 2, just like, okay, very well. And then this eel chomps on this seaweed stuff. It falls down. Go ahead.
The eel is then later served to Addie.
Of course, yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Everybody streams in. They tap the keg. Everybody's having a great time. The music gets going. But the food isn't coming in. So far, there's this eel that's being fried up, and that's it. The fishers are coming in, and they're like, "Oh, we're not having a lot of luck finding game out in the canals, and we're not sure what to do. We need to catch this stuff quick. We're using our nets. We're using our Dreamcatcher nets, and it's just not working. What are we going to do about this? We need some help."
Jonathan Black helps on the scene.
Well,
Clank, do you have
okay, so this is a dark world, and the oceans are dark. So I assume the fish and whatnot are attracted to light.
Indeed, they
Correct?
are. Yeah.
Then Clank holds something above his head, almost like a light bulb. I have an idea, and he's going to go with them to attract fish.
Very nice. Okay, yeah, let's go do this. So you march off to go attract these fish. Black, did you have a supplementary idea that you wanted to employ?
No, I think he's got it.
Okay.
Actually, thinking about it, I probably don't want anything to do with the water.
That's fair. You've recently spent some unsavory time in the water, and you're still shivering. Cool. So, Clank, you wander off to the canal or the shore, like the actual dock front. Where do you go for this stuff?
Wherever the prey is.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the fishers have been in one place, but maybe that's not the best spot. Maybe you know of a better one.
You know what? In the remnants of the ruined docks, I mean, there's just so much debris there. They're all hiding down there. That's where they are.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you take them down there, and you're going to use this light to attract the fish or the specimens one way or another. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead and give me this roll. This is going to be risky position.
Okay, it's going to be a rec roll, because I am using my blinding light object.
Okay, sounds good. And I think this is going to be...
It's a very loud noise.
A loud noise, okay. Definitely risky then, because you don't want to draw too much attention to yourselves while you're doing this stuff. These docks are technically still off limits.
I'm going to trade position for effect, because I'm also shocked. The last game, I traumatized out, and you said because I traumatized out, I was still going to be shocked. So I'm at less effect right now, so I think I'm going to trade position for effect.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say your position was going to be standard, but if you are dealing with lesser effect, then it would be limited. So you want to go down to desperate and up to standard then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So let's see here. What is it about this situation? We know that the docks are off limits, but how specifically do you make things harder for yourself by going down to desperate?
I'm using my blinding light technology that not only causes the light, which will attract the creatures below, but is loud to draw attention to the fact that I'm in a restricted area.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so go ahead and give me this roll then.
Okay, so I get an extra dice because I am a daredevil.
Ah, very nice.
A 5.
A 5, okay. Well, desperate with a 5. It's not ideal. You do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer severe harm, a serious complication occurs, you have reduced effect. I think the serious complication is that there's a patrol of bluecoats who are pretty much one of the only patrols that's not currently dealing with the grinder situation over on the eastern end of the docks. But there's a patrol of bluecoats that does spot you. And so the fishermen immediately go over and start harvesting, these flying leeches, these spiny eels. They're pulling octolobsters out. They're even finding some void barnacles that are kind of attached to the pilings of the wharves. But these bluecoats, you notice, they start to come over. And they're going to get to you before you have a chance to steal back toward the party. But speaking of the party, we're going to switch back to there. And the crowd's starting to get a little restless. They're getting hungry. And, fishing for rings and gutter skiff races only go so far. They're getting a little restless, and the musicians are starting to try to play a little more earnestly, but it's just not working. And so the crowd is starting to shift. And the favor is starting to go away. And the solidarity potential of this moment is slipping. So we need somebody to bring this party back on track.
Okay. I would like to do a flashback.
Ah, okay.
I think that Benji had secured a second kind of booze, something a little more select, something a little rarer that the dockers might not have had access to.
Okay.
And he's kind of had this kind of waiting just in case. Just in case, there wasn't enough to go around, or just in case, fights started breaking out, things like that. And I think he's going to reveal this secondary drink in this instance. Maybe like a crate or a case full of bottles.
Okay, cool. So how did you go about acquiring this select reserve of alcohol?
I took it from my family's cellar.
Okay, cool. So you had to steal this from under your own family's nose. And there are definitely going to be consequences for that, but, well, and you know what? You've been under house arrest. You have been kind of the black sheep of the family for a long time. I think this is a pretty stressful thing for you to do. I think it might be equivalent to 2 stress.
Okay.
And then what action are you using to actually get this special reserve?
Is there any way that I could reduce that to 1 stress, because I am both reckless and vicious, and my vicious trauma actually came from my brother, who is in line to inherit the family name.
Yeah.
So could this be potentially not as stressful because I'm doing it as a way of getting back at him?
Sure. So take it down to 1 stress, and what you're doing is not only taking this booze, but framing your brother for it. And that's actually the more challenging part, is what you're saying.
Well, not necessarily framing him. Well, I mean, if that's an option, I'll take that. Because, I'm a spider, so that's certainly within my wheelhouse.
Sure.
But yeah, just mainly in my mind, the family is he is going to be the representative of the family. So any fallout from all of this will eventually come down on his shoulders.
Cool. All right. Yeah, no, I like that. So, yeah, I think 1 stress then. And what action are you using for this?
I think finesse you can also use to steal. Well, it says from somebody's pocket.
Finesse could be used to steal from your house. It's just a larger scale. You know what I mean?
Employ subtle misdirection, and so finesse.
Okay, cool. So I think position and effect don't matter for flashbacks. So go ahead with this. Okay. Well, maybe they do though. What is the ruling on that? Hold on just a second. Yeah, no, it's stress instead of position effect. So go ahead and do that.
No bonus dice. So yes.
A 6. All right, very nice. You do it. So yeah, you managed to get this special reserve, and we flash back to the present where you're unveiling it. How do you unveil it to the crowd? The crowd's like, where's the food? We're hungry over here.
Well, look, they're working on it, but before they bring out the food, I have a surprise for all of you.
Surprise! A murmur goes through the crowd.
Now, this is a gift from the Overstreet family. It'll actually go over to like this, like kind of block, the squarish kind of thing that has a cloth draped over it. It's kind of stained canvas cloth, probably the only large cloth that they could actually get their hands on last minute. And he grabs it and kind of pulls it off to reveal like these crates of bottles of effectively like a champagne, some kind of special celebratory drink.
Yeah, mushroom champagne.
Perfect.
Nice. Very cool. All right, so yeah, you unveil this, and everybody's like, "Wow, more booze!" And the kids are like, "But we don't get any booze!" And everybody's like, "Shut up, you're kids." And so yeah, we've passed.
A couple
this
of the older ones kind of sneak up and they grab a bottle.
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah. There's this one little kid in particular who's a real street urchin. His name is Drav, and he comes up and he's slick as a panther, stealing through the night. And he comes up and he grabs this bottle and he carries it away. And then a bunch of the regatta kids sneak off with him and they start like taking pulls out of this champagne bottle. Black, what are you up to while this is going on?
So, though the crowd seems like it's getting restless because it's hungry, large amounts of people just out together outside in like not your home location. To me, that seems like something that would draw some attention from some things in the spectral field beyond the veil.
Ah, yes, okay.
So I think you would see John still posted up, probably kitty corner to this fishing game. You know, he sees Draft take the bottle and what's one bottle? But to him, his hair has been standing up on the back of his neck for a while. And out of the corners of his eyes, and sometimes as he's just kind of letting his gaze drift off, he sees, shadows and various other things tugging at people and, pinching them or riling the crowd, feeding off the emotion. You may even see the large, burly ghost somewhere in the crowd around Denji. And there's no motion that goes along with this. He's just maybe biting his teeth a little harder than usual to kind of put a static emotion of content and just trying to maintain the vibe of the party through a tune.
Very nice. Okay, so you're kind of attuning to the ghost field to keep negative spectral influence at bay to make sure that the party is as good as possible.
Correct.
Okay.
And I would also like to trade position for effect.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be a risky position, and it's going to be, I think, a limited effect because you're dealing with an entire group of people.
Right.
Are you also dealing with an injury?
Right now, no.
Okay.
I think I was fine from the last one.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. So, yeah, it's risky limited, but you want to trade down to desperate to go up to standard.
Correct.
Cool.
And I think by doing that, I'm opening myself up to a lot of shit out there to maintain this party.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so you're tuning. Let's go ahead and see that roll.
Let's do effect. 5.
5. You do it, but there's a consequence. You have reduced effect. So you're trying to push against this, right? And you're trying to keep these ghosts at bay. But you do notice this massive Docker ghost from the previous score is indeed hanging around Benji. And whereas the other ghosts kind of feel your presence and they move away because they're scared or disturbed by what you're putting out, this one ghost just seems like it's just getting angrier. And so it's not a complication. The ghost isn't ready to act yet, but you did not manage to drive this big Docker ghost away.
I feel like it's one of those like exorcism movies where this thing's pushing back on me, and you see where John was casually leaning against this wall of some kind. He's starting to shiver, and his breath is condensing as he breathes. This creature, it gives off like I would say like a damp, like old basement feel. This is the thing standing at the bottom of the stairs as you run up.
Yeah, very cool.
Classic fear.
Yeah. So Imbra, the one-eyed Eruvian woman from earlier, walks up and she's like, "Hey, Black, are you okay?"
Yeah. Man, it's cold. It's real cold.
Yeah, you look chilled. Well, tell you what. And she pulls out one of the fire oil things that Clank had provided to the Dockers earlier. She's like, "We could go stoke up this barrel fire we got going over here if you want."
Yeah, I think I'd like that.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah. Let's go do that. Let's take care of that. So you move off toward the barrel fire that's going, and a few people are gathered around. They're laughing, they're dancing, that sort of thing. And you notice that there's still no food around, but back at the docks, Clank is overseeing quite a haul. There's definitely enough to feed everybody at this point. And so all this stuff has been gathered, and it's just a question of getting back to the rest of the group. However, I will point out, I did start a clock. And it's a 6 o'clock for the Bluecoats to notice the Dockers party. And complications regarding sneaking back to the place, making too much noise, that sort of thing, will add pips to this clock. And if the Bluecoats notice the party, they're going to try and break it up. So this is something that you all are aware of, and it's something that you're going to have to
So you're saying
deal
my idea that I was thinking of inviting them to the party would not be a good idea?
Probably not. They are not your friends. They are already tailing Benji, and they have been for some time. And they're also fed up with these grinders. And they're just fed up with actions in the docks in general. Diplomacy would be really uncertain if you were to engage with them.
Okay, good to know.
Mm-hmm. So what's your plan to get everybody back to the docks safely?
So do I notice the Bluecoats then?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. They're walking along the shore, and you've got your big light going, but they noticed it, but for some reason they're not walking down the dock toward you.
Okay. Well, Clank knows this area.
Mm-hmm.
He knows all the backways and the byways and the underways. So he's like, "I know where to go. Follow me." And he's going to prowl.
Okay. Cool. So you're going to lead these dockers away with all this haul of fish. I'm going to say immediately, you went down to a desperate position, and I'm going to keep you there. But this effect is still going to be limited because you're leading an action. Technically, you just don't have anybody to roll with you. And so I think getting all of these dockers, I'm going to say there are 3 or 4 of them, and getting all the food that they're carrying away from the Bluecoats safely is going to be a pretty limited effect kind of action. But
Okay.
of course, you can push yourself and you can add to your effect, or you can add a die, you can take a devil's bargain, you can do whatever you want.
Right now I'm just going to do a limited... push myself as 2 stress.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll add effect.
All right, cool. So you're going from desperate limited to desperate standard then.
Mm-hmm. And I get a bonus die because I am a daredevil, and I am prowling. And I have rolled prowess. gonna add that. I'm gonna add that to finesse. Okay, so rolling. Got a 6.
Nice. Okay. Very good. Very good. So you do manage to lead them away. So these bluecoats, they basically set up shop at the mouth of this dock, and they just were going to wait for you to come back down the dock because they figured there was only one way. What secret way did you find to lead them back to this party without being seen?
They're actually waiting on top of the wharf, right? Well, I lead us along. People don't know this, but the wharves are interconnected lumber, and there's a walkway there for when people need to do maintenance, and you can get under it to go out that way.
Cool. Very nice. Yeah, yeah. So you lead them under this maintenance section, and you get them out of there, and the bluecoats are none the wiser. That's very good for you. And you return to the party to triumphant cheers. Everybody's like, "Ah, the food, yeah!" And a couple kids are like, "But I don't like that food." And the mom slaps them and is like, "Nah, you'll eat what you're given, and you'll like it. This is more food than we've had in a month." And so they load up the tables, they fire up the grills, they get all this stuff going. People are already digging into the void barnacles because, of course, those are good to go as is. But there is there's a sack of salt that people can use to sprinkle over the top of them and that sort of thing. Now feels like a pretty good time to start schmoozing, to start rubbing elbows. So who wants to give that a try and like make the case for the dockers to come together in this mutual aid thing?
I somehow feel like that rests upon Black's shoulders, at least initially.
Sure.
As everyone's sitting down to eat, I would probably find a center point here to draw attention to myself. And I'm not smoozing a particular person individually, but once again, trying to assess the whole crowd here to set the tone. Thank you all for coming. Mighty fine of you to show up and give your support for a very valuable cause, and this is a demonstration of what we can be all the time. So I would like to be consorting.
Yeah, okay. Drawing on your heritage, your background, that sort of thing.
Yeah, the homegrown connection here.
Sure, because you're from the docks. You have a history here.
Correct.
Cool. All right, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I think you're still in a risky position. This is kind of a clandestine meeting that's happening out in the open, so that's a little sketchy.
Right.
Effect-wise, I think... So here's what I want to do. I'm going to start up another clock. I'm going to call it Dockers Solidarity. And if you manage to fill this clock, I'm going to say it is an 8 clock. If you get a 1 or 3, you won't get anything. If you get a 4 or a 5, you'll get 1 pip. If you get a 6, you'll get 2 pips. If you get a critical, you'll get 3 pips, right? And when you fill this, the score will be done, and we will have accomplished our mission. And of course, anyone else is welcome to contribute to this clock as well. It's just you're the one who's doing it first.
Okay.
So you're doing consort, and it's a risky position. I'm going to say it's a standard effect because you've got some rapport with the dockers at this point.
All right. 5.
A 5. Okay, so you do it, but there's a consequence. I'm going to say a complication occurs. So you managed to fill 2 segments on this clock, first of all, right? And we are a quarter of the way to bringing the dockers together in solidarity. However, when you say this, everybody's really excited, and everybody kind of forgets that this is supposed to be a little bit of a low-key gathering, even though it's happening out in the open. So everybody comes together and they lead a 3 cheers for you. Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! And the noise echoes throughout the district. And so also, there's another segment filled on the Bluecoats clock.
I appreciate your support. We gotta maintain a certain level of sound etiquette here. I appreciate it. I know you all are very excited, just as I am, but let's not attract any unwanted attention before the evening is done, shall we? So please, enjoy yourselves. Have something to eat.
Addie is off stage just a little bit, but still within hearing range. And Addie is like, "Sound etiquette. Oh, have you ever heard of such a dismal thing? I can't believe it. In my parties, we can be as loud and as raucous as we want. I suppose that's the benefit of having your own yacht. Sometimes I call it a yacht, just to be fun." And so everybody is like, "Oh, yeah, okay. We'll keep it quiet." I think now is the time for a contest of this here fishing for rings game. And
Twinkles
so,
play.
and this is also one, yeah, I was going to say, this is one where adults are welcome to join in too. I think all the games are, but the kids have like a handicap. They have a little bit of an advantage in terms of points. And so let's say that like the normal rings that you have to fish out of the water are worth 1 point, and the glow rings are worth 3 points. And all the kids are given 2 glow rings to keep for themselves. And so we're going to do a game where everybody gets a chance to fish. We know that Clank wants to join in. Do any of the others of you want to join in?
Oh, John wants to.
All right. And Benji?
Benji does want to, and he actually agrees at first, but he has this incredibly eerie feeling of being watched that he just can't shake, and he can't find who it is that seems to be keeping an eye on him. So he's gonna bow out kind of at the last minute because he's just not feeling good.
Yeah, and there's a docker next to you. It's Eelson, one of the propaganda gangsters. He's like, "Oh, come on, you gotta join in." What?
Do you feel like there's somebody watching us, Eelson?
Somebody watching? Well, I mean, the blue coats are always watching, but that doesn't stop me.
No, I mean like there's someone here. There's someone paying very close attention.
You feeling all right, Benji? You're looking a little pale.
No, I am. No, I'm not. I think I'm gonna take a little bit of a breather, just to get some fresh air. That's all.
You sure? You never played Rings Down Below. It's a pretty fun game, man.
I'm sure that it is. I'll be back.
I don't want to push your buttons. I know. Just let me know if you need to talk about anything. I'm here for you, mate.
So Benji moves off, and Eelson follows after Benji and is like, "Do you think it's a ghost?" But then that conversation kind of fades away. And we've got Clank and Black both participating in this this fishing for rings game. The rings down below, if you will. Nicely done, Jonathan. And we're going to need to see some rolls for this. And I'm going to go ahead and roll for the dockers. Now, because there are a bunch of dockers, I'm going to go ahead and roll 3 dice for this. However, it's not as if like every single docker is equally suited toward this sort of activity. It's just like, this is the chances of you beating out all of the dockers, right? So the docker's got a 5, and I think we're going to do high roll as the winner on this thing.
Clank's gonna graciously let go like this and let Black go, because Clank wants to go last.
Is this just straight fortune?
You can do fortune.
Could I use an ability?
Yeah, an ability is fine too.
Because I think that I've had some experience playing this game, so my study of the game board, as you will, this isn't so much a test for me as it is a reflex to see if I can still do it. So I'd like to use study.
Okay, sure. Yeah, you're looking at the water, you're trying to gauge your shot, that sort of thing.
Study my mark.
Yeah, absolutely. And Clank, what action are you using?
Well, I'd rather wait till after Jonathan goes before I say.
I got a 6.
Got a 6.
Ooh.
Okay, so if we get 6
is
from
my
Clank as well,
game.
it'll be a
Coming
roll-off.
to my house.
Clank like this. Well done, Black. Well done. But just wait. And he pulls out his magnetic line thrower.
Okay, so
I feel like overkill is a little bit unstable. So I'm
Blows up the whole thing.
going to wreck, but I'm a saboteur, so I can wreck quietly.
okay, sounds good.
But I'm going to shoot my magnetic line thrower at a way to get the most rings that I can.
Let's see how this goes.
So
I think
is this what
with-
position am I in?
so using this. Okay, so here's the deal. We're not really doing position and effect for this, but I will say
Okay.
that because you're using your magnetic line thrower, which is a fine quality item, then if you get a 6, it'll count as 2 6s. And that way
It's
you
a-
will just straight up beat Jonathan.
Okay, it's a tier 2, yeah. So it's no position though, so I don't get any extra dice.
Correct, yeah.
Oh!
A 5. Even Clank's technological marvels weren't enough to beat out Jonathan Black and his careful study of the water. That's too bad.
Don't beat yourself up too much, mate. It's like those claw machines that you see over at the bars. I got a knack for them. It's just my talent.
Clank says, I know when I'm beat. Well done, my friend, and slaps him on the back and then raises him up.
Yeah, and Tuto is actually on the other side of Clank, and he lifts up Jonathan as well. But you notice, Clank, that whenever Tuto lifts up Clank, or whenever he lifts up Black, he kind of elbows you in the ribs, too. And you're not sure if it's like a slip, or you're not sure if it's payback for all of the shenanigans that you've put him through over the past couple of months, but it's there all the same. And yeah, so they lift him up, and Tuto's like, it's so fitting that this guy is the one who should get the gold on this one. Oh, that's right. Here for Jonathan Black. All right. And then everybody's like, here, because of course they remember they're not supposed to be loud. But now I think it's time for another attempt to recruit these dockers to our cause. And I think Black's already spoken his piece. They want to hear from other folks. So which one of the other of you is going to give this a try?
So I think this is a little bit earlier in the evening,
Mm-hmm.
before Benji was kind of feeling before he voiced what he was feeling. I think he's handing out these bottles of this Dagger Isle brand champagne. It's something that somebody that his parents know from back in the homeland kind of thing, that have this. I guess it wouldn't be a vineyard, but whatever you'd call it, where mushrooms are grown specifically for this purpose. So I think he's handing these bottles out to people, and he pulls one bottle out, and something kind of catches his attention, and he looks, and there's actually a reflection in the bottle of this hulking dock ghost, this kind of sickly bluish green glowing reflection in the bottle's surface. So he kind of like turns around, and there's nothing there. And he kind of like looks around for a little bit, looks back in the bottle, and it's not there. And this is shaking him to his core. But he's going to try to push past it, kind of grit his teeth. And no, I hope you're having a wonderful night. And this is a special reserve champagne. I hope you all enjoy it. It's like I said, it's a gift from the Overstreet family. And Addie McFroy is here and trying to show her support. So we're very thankful for that. Black, he's put this all together. One big family, aren't we? But something's disturbing him.
There's a little bit of uncertainty based on your performance, and they're kind of Yeah, family. Yeah, here. So let's do a roll to see how this turns out. But I want to point out that you do have a gang of propagandists at your disposal as well. And if you want to use them for this roll, you can lead a group action and they'll roll too and could potentially contribute to your success.
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe they're helping me hand out these bottles.
Okay, and spreading a little bit of the word at the
Yeah, and
same time.
yeah, absolutely. Talking people up as they're handing these bottles over.
Cool. All right, yeah. So what you'll do is you will roll for yourself, and then I will roll for the crew. That's just going to be a basic fortune roll or a tier roll, I guess.
But I will use an action.
Yes, yeah. And if I think it would be command for you to command them, but if you would rather use some other action, we can work with that.
I was gonna try sway.
Sway? Okay. So let's say that command would be a standard action because you're swaying the propagandists to help you out.
Right.
But if you want to sway instead, that'll just be, instead of a standard effect, it'll be a limited effect. So you're sitting at risky and limited right now.
Yeah. I think I prefer.
Do you want to go down to desperate and go up to standard,
yeah.
or
Yeah,
okay?
I would.
Cool.
Desperate. And standard effect. No bonus dice.
Let's see how that roll turns out for you before I roll my own.
Yeah.
A 6. Okay, very nice. And I'm going to roll a 2 for the cohort. So they contribute to your success and or failure, right? But you have succeeded. And so the cohort is just a little too rambunctious out there. So the cohort, I have listed here that they're loyal and tenacious, but their flaws are also that they're principled and unreliable. And so instead of going out and like spreading the word like they should be, they're a little too much into the drink, and they're just not super effective as they're helping you out. But you don't really need it, right? You've managed to do this on your own and kind of encourage the Dockers to believe that there are people, powerful people, who are supporting them and have their back. And a toast from a noble with the blessing of another noble is significant. Yeah, so that worked out. And what I'm going to do is add another pip. You got a 6, so that's actually going to be, what is it? 2 pips. Oh, shoot. I misspoke earlier. Jonathan rolled a 5 on the clock, and I accidentally added 2 pips instead of 1.
Yeah, I mentioned something about that in the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not even paying attention to the chat. But at any rate, you would be getting 2 pips, so instead I'll just give you the 1.
Yeah.
And so the Docker Solidarity is at 3 pips right now. So you're almost halfway there. And it was managed, it was quiet enough that I'm not going to add anything to the Blue Coats thing either. And so we continue on here. The party progresses for a little while. And we've been playing for, another hour or so. So I want to take another 5-minute break and go, bio break, smoke them if you got them, that sort of thing. So we will be back in 5 minutes time. Sound good? All right. And meanwhile, everyone else, stay tuned because we are on the prowl. All right, and we are back, and we are right in the middle of this big party. We've just had a pretty significant boon in the form of Jonathan Black and Benji, both shilling for the benefit of the dockers. They've done some motivational speeches. They've handed out some fine beverages, and yeah, I think maybe now is the time for this regatta. This is also something that's open to adults, although I will say that the all of those who have gathered have agreed that while most of the time you compete as individuals, the crew of the Electrick EEK, that prestigious canal racing team, is bound to compete together. So, first of all, you have to actually create your regatta boat. So we're going to need some sort of role to craft this boat.
Clink will tinker that.
Okay, sounds good.
I was gonna say that had to be Clank.
I was gonna say, Benji, I'm not gonna make anything. Are you gonna make anything?
Hell no.
Clink doesn't even turn them. He just like starts laughing and like ducks down, pulls out stuff from his pockets. He's going to use his fine tinkering tools here.
I know, Benji. We can come up with a name. How about the Static Eek?
You don't think it's a little on point?
Well, I mean,
So
what's the smaller version of Electric?
There's a guy who stumbles up to you who's really in his cups, and he's like, "You could call it the Ink Junior, and that way it's two shorts. It's Eek.
You should have 2 more drinks.
That's the good idea. You're all right, Mr. Overstreet. I'm just gonna go do that." He stumbles off.
Thank goodness Clank managed to get some food, or these people would be really drunk right now.
Clank, I didn't set the position in effect.
Oh, okay. I didn't know there was
So-
going to be one. Sorry.
Well, of course there is. You are canal racers, and this is a miniature regatta race. The stakes are huge right now.
Okay. If they're desperate, I'm good with that.
I will say the position is going to be desperate, because what's going to happen if a professional boat racing crew does not win this race? It's going to be total, just all the confidence will dissolve in the
Okay,
faces
question
of these
for you.
dockers.
We
So I
have
have
to have
to choose the roll before I can gain a pip and insight for a desperate roll, correct?
What did you say? Yeah. You make the roll, and then after you make the roll, you add the experience.
Because I would roll with insight, and then I could add another one to tinker.
So
Okay,
sad.
That's okay.
Okay, so it's a desperate position. I think the effect is potentially great because again,
And I have fine tinkering tools.
oh, then exceptional. So you might be. Let's roll and see how this turns out.
And I get a bonus die because it's desperate action.
I mean, yeah,
If we end up more legendary for this than an actual
a
race.
6. All right, well, let's just see how this turns out for everybody. We've got 3 dice for the Dockers. Dockers Regatta. Ooh, okay, so it's a bit of a tie. So here's the deal. This regatta race is, I don't know, 8 different competitors. Some kids, there's a couple of adults, and then there's the crew of the Electrick EEK coming through and making this happen. And it's fierce competition. Several of these regatta boats are destroyed in the course of things because, of course, these are not just like wooden carven things with sails. They are miniature motorized boats, and they've got like little catapults with fire oil on them that destroy the other boats. It's a real microcosm of your typical canal race.
I really want to make a mini EEK engine.
Of course, yeah, that's absolutely what happens because you get a little. So here's the deal. You make this boat, and you realize, I guess this wasn't the race. This is the thing to make the boat. You make this boat, and you realize that there's one kid, this little kid named Drav, and he has got a very nice looking boat. You are certain he didn't make it. He had to steal it from somebody. But who makes regatta boats? I mean, it's just not a common thing in the city. You have no idea where this kid got this boat, but it absolutely rivals your own. And so now comes the time to race these boats. And
Jonathan. Or no, sorry, Benji. Benji, you got to step up.
Yeah, I think probably so. So Benji, these are motorized, and they have weapons on them, so it demands some kind of remote control. But what is a, early 1900s magical kind of remote controlled device? What are you using to control this boat?
So it's this. I think it's this like disproportionately large controller. Like the controller is probably larger than the craft itself.
Okay.
And it's got like these pistons that move and like different dials that show like different pressures. And there's the same kind of electroplasmic field and energy that forms the walls that are actually around this city. There's almost like a little tiny antenna, but the reverse, or I don't know what that would be called, almost like a probe that sticks out of the end of this and actually kind of establishes like this little tether to this little antenna on the boat of like ectoplasmic like energy, and that's actually kind of what connects them and controls it around this little canal.
I love it. I love it. And your controller is large and unwieldy, but it's actually smaller than most of the other controllers because your controls are built up or are split between your navigation, and then Black has the controls for the weapon systems that are on this little thing. Everybody else has controls that have to be like set on the ground and they stand next to them and control them. And at this point, everybody's setting them up, and like everybody, very few people have the means to produce these controls to control these boats. But Addie Freud raises a toast of this mushroom champagne and is like, yes, of course, my infinite benevolence has bestowed upon all of you the necessary components to build your regatta boats or whatever they are. So go ahead, entertain me. And Addie's situated theirself on a makeshift throne that's made out of like crates and furs and stuff like that.
The starting pistol would be Addie dropping like a rag or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we've got all these competitors, 8 or so competitors with all these weapons on their boats and stuff. And we've got Drav, who's got the boat that's like, ooh, this is the one that's the real competition with you. Now what we need is a roll from each of you, or I guess actually just from Black and Benji, to pilot this thing and work its weapon systems. And I'm going to roll twice for the Dockers. Once for the Dockers in general, and once for Drav. And we'll see who comes out on top of this thing. So, Benji, why don't we get your roll first to navigate, and then we'll get Black's roll to use the weapons.
Okay. So certainly going with finesse on this one.
Okay?
Position and effect.
Desperate, of course, and effect is potentially great.
Okay.
So I'll say, like, normally I said, I think you can afford to get a result 1 tier. No, because Drav has a really great boat. The effect is standard in this case.
Standard.
Yeah.
Okay. And no bonus dice.
Yes. 6. Okay, cool. And this is technically a group action, so Black, go ahead and give me your roll as well. And we'll see if we can get up to a critical success for this thing.
It would be finesse as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
A 3. All right, so I would imagine Benji was probably leading this group action. Okay, so you take 1 stress as a result of this then. And let's do these rolls now. We've got 3 dice for Docker's race. That's 1 6. And we've got for Drav himself. Ooh, that's another 6. Okay, so we're going to have to do a roll-off. Let's do another group action.
No, I think then What I want to try to do is start the mini EEK engine. So,
Oh. Okay, so you're going to participate in this group action too, kind of retroactively. You know what? I'll allow it. Let's see how this goes.
so it's a tinker roll
Mm-hmm.
to do that, and is it what position?
Desperate and potentially standard effect.
And I have fine tinkering tools still.
Okay,
Is it
so
still
you're
standard?
you're up to great.
Okay, but I still have limited effect, or less effect for being shocked. So I guess it's a standard still.
Yeah, down to standard.
Bummer. Okay, that's okay because I get a bonus die. Oh, 5.
A 5. That's still, well. Yeah, so you operate the EEK, but Drav is just so fast. We're going to need a roll off between. Actually, in one of the dockers, there's this kid and there's this adult docker woman, and there's Benji, they're all neck and neck for the lead at the end of this regatta race. And we're going to need one more roll from each of you to determine who's the ultimate grand champion winner. So, Dockers race round 2.
Same setup as before.
Yeah. Just a 5 for the Dockers, and then Drav race round 2. Ooh, a 6 from Drav. Ooh.
So, am I involved in this group activity?
Yeah, you can go ahead and roll.
I would like to invoke my ability that I gained last session, Rook's Gambit. I can take 2 stress to roll my best action while performing a different action.
Okay, cool. So what action are you rolling?
I'm going to be technically rolling finesse to match Benji's piloting. I'm aiding him, if you will. I'm going to use a tune. So I'm going to take 2 stress to roll a tune rather than finesse.
Very cool. Do you already have 3 dice in a tune?
I have been rolling heavy with desperate actions in Resolve lately.
That's
and
not
it's
bad.
It's just been bumping me over. So,
Very nice. Okay, yeah, so give me this roll.
is it risky standard?
Desperate standard.
Desperate standard. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is how my tune keeps getting so high. Got a 6.
A 6. Okay, cool. So I think what happens is that Drav's boat and the mini EEK Junior or whatever, the static
EJ.
EEK, are neck and neck, right? And they actually manage to like latch themselves to each other, and they cross the finish line at the same time. And so
Clink's just gonna swoop in and put Drav on his shoulders and hold him up.
you do that, and you put Drav on your shoulders, and before you know it, like Drav's hands are kind of like down by your cheeks, right? Holding on to stabilize himself. But before you know it, you can feel this little blade slip into Drav's hand, and he holds a knife to your throat and is like, "Hey, you listen to me right now, mister. You win one more time, and I'll cut you, and I won't think twice about it. You understand?"
Okay, so Clink is shocked right now. Can I? I really want that to be like every once in a while, like an electric shock goes through his entire body.
Oh, yeah, sure, why not?
So, is there a way that I could use that to shock this little shithead?
Yeah, give it a shot. Let's see here. What kind of roll would this be? Maybe wreck? Maybe a tune or something like that? I don't know.
Okay, I'll wreck. This will be a wreck. It's a carefully applied force.
Of
And it's
course.
quiet because I'm a saboteur.
Of course, yeah.
And so this is just to put him in his place.
And I think this is just a risky position, but it has a standard effect. Well, great effect, and then with your injury, it would go down to standard.
It's just risky though. Oh, only a 4.
A 4, okay, well, there's a serious consequence.
I'll take the serious consequence.
So, You can choose to resist this, of course, but I'm going to say what happens is that there's one more pip on the Bluecoats noticing the Dockers party, because Drav, you were quiet about shocking Drav, but Drav really goes on a tear, throwing out curse word after curse word and just screaming at the top of his lungs as you chase him around the party, and that does indeed raise some suspicion in the surrounding area.
That's okay.
Okay, cool. So we are halfway to filling this this Bluecoats clock, and we're only a little under half for actually building the Docker Solidarity.
So I would argue, though, that participating in these games and doing well in them should give us a little bit towards that.
Sure. Yeah, you tied, so I'll give you...
And Jonathan won the first one, so...
What do you mean Jonathan won the first one? Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Tell you what, I'll give you 1 pip for the first one, and I can give you improved effect on some like supplementary roll to get more pips if you use your victory as like a bragging point or something.
Cool. That's more than I was asking for, so cool.
Okay. Cool. But I do think it's about time to start drumming up some more solidarity amongst the Dockers here. So who wants to take the lead on that?
I'll take a swing at it.
All right. So what action are you going to be using to build up solidarity?
So I think there is somebody that's kind of deep in his cups that's not necessarily here to support what we're doing.
He's just there for the free booze.
Yeah, and at this point he's kind of gotten a little rowdy and is kind of talking shit.
Okay. Yeah, talking about how the bosses, they're the ones with all the money and all the power, so why should we be working against them?
And I think he's kind of like came up to me and, you know, like hard finger to the chest a couple times. Like, this is your fault. You did this. And I'm just going to punch him in the face.
Ooh, okay. So what action is this going to be?
This is going to be a skirmish.
Okay.
And I was hoping that for kind of an obvious tick on the Bluecoats notice Docker or notice Docker party would give me kind of the edge on getting some more Docker solidarity. So in a sense, trade position for effect.
Well, you know what that sounds like to me? It sounds a lot like a devil's bargain. So
yeah, that would definitely also apply.
You would be in like a risky position and a limited effect, because not all the Dockers are going to be able to see you punch this guy out. And so you could either, like, first of all, you can trade position for effect. You can go down to desperate and go up to a standard effect. Or if you do this devil's bargain, then even if you succeed with flying colors, you'll still add a pip to the Bluecoats noticing the Dockers. And if you fail, then it's 2 pips.
Yeah, what's life without risk?
Okay. And for this devil's bargain, do you want to add a die to your pool, or do you want to increase your effect?
I'll increase my effect.
Okay, so you're in a risky position, and you were limited, but you can go up to standard. Do you want
Can
to...
I drop myself to risky to raise that to great?
Well, to desperate,
Or
yeah. But
desperate,
you could,
rather?
yeah, you could go down to desperate and get a potentially great effect, which would mean that if you succeed on this, a 4 or a 5 is 2 pips, a 6 is 3 pips, and a critical would fill up the entire clock.
All right, well, I can't dream that big, but I think that's what we're going to go with.
All right.
So I have a devil's bargain, and I have traded position for effect.
Uh-huh. So you've got, let's see, desperate, potentially great effect, and you're rolling skirmish. So let's see how that goes.
4 and a 3.
4. Okay, well, you do it, but there's a consequence. So you're going to add 2 pips to the Bluecoats. And great effect, you're also going to add 2 pips to the Docker Solidarity.
I thought it was failed. It's 2 pips. Or is that the consequence?
You're right. Okay, cool. So Dockers Solidarity, we're 3/4 of the way there. And Bluecoats, we are 2/3 of the way there. And so things are coming down to the wire.
Clank would like to bring everyone together for a good old-fashioned fireworks show to end the night.
Ooh.
Because he figures this has been a good party. This brought everyone together. And so that is the action. He is unstable. He has not told Benji or Jonathan about this idea.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking first. Black is getting guff from this scab, right? The scab is coming up and shoving his finger in there. We should be getting back to work. We shouldn't be demanding better wages and hours and conditions. That's poppycock is what it is. It's a bunch of bescumbering soot. And Black rears off and just decks the dude. And a lot of people cheer and they're like, oh yeah, Dockers forever, solidarity forever. Ah! And they get really excited. It does raise a little bit of a notice, and so the Bluecoats are a little bit closer to finding out what's going on here. And in fact, you're starting to notice that there are patrols. You can see the lights of the Bluecoat lanterns that are kind of in alleyways nearby. And the gathering is quiet enough, they can't quite zero in on what's going on here, but they do know there's some sort of ruckus in the area. Maybe it's grinders, maybe it's something different, who knows. But Clank, you want to do a fireworks show.
Yes.
That is an extremely conspicuous action.
I know. But if I fill my Dr. Solidarity with it at the same time, I feel like we succeeded.
You know, it's a fair point. You would definitely... Oh, man. I'm trying to calculate this in my head. So here's what I'm thinking. Fireworks are loud and flashy.
Yep.
So I almost feel like you would need to take a devil's bargain just to make this work, but...
Oh, I believe the idea was when you do electroplasmic fireworks, you always take a devil's bargain.
Yeah, let's go with that. Okay. Cool. So you want to take a devil's bargain. I think this is a risky position and a potentially standard effect because they've seen your fireworks before. You know, they think they're cool, but they've happened quite a bit lately, and so it's not like it's like a brand new thing that they're seeing.
So I will trade position for effect.
Okay. So you're going to go down to desperate for a potentially great effect. And then you're also taking the devil's bargain. And so the devil's bargain is that for sure there will be at least one tick on the Bluecoats clock. But you can choose to either increase your effect to exceptional, which would basically guarantee that the clock for the Dockers gets filled, or you could add a die to your roll, which could also guarantee it.
With the devil's bargain?
Yeah.
Wait, so what? I can use it... I didn't think I could use the devil's bargain to increase effect.
Yeah, you can use a devil's bargain either to gain a die or to increase your effect.
Okay, we'll increase the effect then. So it's desperate.
And potentially exceptional or extraordinary or whatever it's called effect.
Okay. Desperate, extreme. And I get a bonus die because I am doing a desperate, and I am a daredevil. So before I hit submit, I must apologize if this doesn't work to Jeremy and Baron. But oh man, this will be fun. Okay, so yes, people have been seeing Clank's fireworks lately, but he's nearly perfected it, and these are the biggest ones he's ever done. But he's pointing them so they're not going to burn anything down this time. He's not going to sink any. It's just going to be big and loud and beautiful, and a celebration of the Dockers and of family and of bringing down the man.
Cool.
So submit.
A 6. Okay, well, you managed to do it. But of course, we are going to add a clock to the Bluecoats, and you get, with exceptional, we are going to max out the Dockers Solidarity clock, and we're still 1 away from maxing out the Bluecoats noticing the Docker party. So these fireworks go off. How is it that the Bluecoats do not connect the fireworks to this party and immediately come running?
Because they are set up in the Grinders territory.
Okay. Sounds good. So, you get this set up. And the fireworks go off, and it's amazing. And then all of a sudden, you can hear all these whistles from Bluecoats. Tweet.
The fireworks are like set to the musicians. Like he planned it beforehand. There's the labor union songs going on as the fireworks. They're on the beat.
The
whistles
makeshift
just add to it.
The makeshift musicians start in with their chorus. When the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the broken sun. And what force in Doskval is weaker than the feeble strength of one, but the union marches on. And then everybody joins into this chorus of solidarity forever, solidarity forever.
Like, there's a firework on each beat. Like the boom is exactly on point.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's amazing. So, the Dockers are now solidified, and the party continues on because this is like the big climax of the party, but there's still going to be some tailing going off. I think what we need is maybe one more roll, or if anybody has anything else they want to do, I want to open the floor for that. But the only thing I have left to think about is like a roll to wind the party down and get everybody away without the Bluecoats actually catching on.
I would just say when the fireworks are done, Clank will stand up and says, "It's over. Go home."
Yeah, I think that would be met with a bunch of Dockers flipping you the bird, flipping you the demon bird, the spirit raven, if you will. And, yeah, it's this sort of thing. They're like, sod off, you soot, get out of here. This is our party now. We're united against everybody, including including people who are harsh in our party. And they like pull Clank down and make him do like a keg stand or something off of the wagon.
I'll finesse that.
So that particular thing, just telling everybody to disperse, is a little too easy. Do we have another way that we want people to get out of here, or what are we thinking? Maybe a group action to get everybody to wind the party down in their own way?
Can we get Freud to give a speech?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So Freud. Maybe
I feel like
then
it would be a really boring speech.
Well, maybe then the action is for you three to coach Freud on what the speech should include, and so like based on the results of your roll, you can give me feedback, and then I'll make something up for the closing speech.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Are we just picking a skill? Does it matter?
It's whatever. Yeah, you guys should determine that amongst the group.
Okay.
Consort?
Yeah, I was gonna say consort.
Consort. Okay.
I don't know if Clank has pips in consort, but
That is the only resolve one I have pips in, so that is good.
Oh,
Perfect.
perfect. Let's go with resolve or
And-
consort then.
Who's leading this pep talk that you're giving to Freud?
Not black.
That's probably me then.
All right, here we go. So let's get rolls from each of you. Group action, it's going to be risky and standard. Yeah, that makes sense.
Can I trade position for effect?
I don't think you can. I think,
Okay.
if anything, the
Oh, if
group
I'm
leader
helping,
would
it doesn't
need to do
matter.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
A 6. Okay.
We
A
killed
4.
this speech. We
Okay.
blew this speech out of the fucking water.
Okay.
We just hand Freud a piece of paper.
Metaphorically. We metaphorically blew this out of the water. We don't actually blow anything out of the water.
What kind of touchstones does this speech entail?
Community.
Community, okay. Support, okay.
New beginnings.
New beginnings, okay. Community support and new beginnings. So
I think this statement.
Freud takes to the stage, and they clear their throat. Very well, everyone, pay attention to me. I'm rich and famous. And the crowd is like, boo. And then Freud is like, no. I've been given a speech by our very own crew of the Electrick EEK, and I shall be reciting it for you right here and right now. And then everybody's like, yeah, do it. So Frog is like, yes, very well. It all boils down to community, of course, and you all are a community. Rather dingy community, if you ask me, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You all support each other, and that's the most important thing. Yes, and you see that support is what is uniting you all here to construct the Adeline Freud Memorial Wharf on the morning, and it's going to be quite a smashing success, if I do say so myself. We're going to put flowers on it. Flowers, and they're going to be radiant flowers, of course, so they're going to glow on the wharf, and it will help the dockers, such as yourself.
I like yellow.
They're going to be yellow, radiant flowers. I'll see if I can make that happen. We'll see. I understand normally it's sort of a bluish, whitish, but we'll see if yellow can work, Clank. I'll do anything for you. Wink. And Frog is like, but the important thing is coming together as a community to support one another. And what's this? Seizing the means of production? Did I sign up for this? I don't think I don't. Clank, where are you? And then a bunch of the dockers are like, here, seize the means, and they all take to the stage and lift Freud up, and he's like, oh heavens, I can't believe it. Well, this is a party that's taking off after all. Oh, don't touch me there. Oh, do touch me there. All right. And Freud is carried off stage, and maybe everybody relocates to a tavern or something to get out of here.
Black
Legs
is in.
and Peg Legs and Black as Ink are going to get full tonight.
They were the secondary sponsors.
All right. Okay, so yeah, Freud is led at the front of this caravan off toward Black as Ink, I think, for the after party. And there are some dock workers who kind of clean up, they get rid of the food and that sort of thing, and it's actually pretty spotless.
Clink holds up a broom and says, I can help.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Tuto actually walks up to you and he's like, excuse me, I think I'll take that myself, thank you. And starts sweeping, and it looks suspiciously like you posing as Tuto sweeping.
I think Jonathan would actually run up and like grab Tuto by the Clank. Oh, Clank. We actually need you inside for a moment.
And he sweeps off stage.
And as Clank is sweeping away, the camera pulls back away from this field and starts to wend through the streets of the docks, and then eventually comes out to this ruined wharf that we know is about to be renovated into a brand new wharf suitable for any Leviathan Hunter ship to dock. And we continue to go out, and we're going over North Hook Bay. And then there's a quick crackle as we break through the lightning barrier, and we rapidly go out over the void sea, and we can see the city spreading out in front of us with the lightning barrier to light it up against this blasphemous sky. And then the camera goes under the water, and we can see pitch darkness for a little while, but then there is a glow that starts to rise up, and we can see and we can feel this oppressive mass beneath us growing, and we know that the Leviathan is about to surface. But for now, the camera is done for the evening, and we have ended our session. So let's do some downtime stuff really quick then, shall we? So, first thing is the payoff. You earn 2 rep per score by default. If the score is of a higher tier, you take +1 rep per tier higher. It's a tier 3. The Dockers are a tier 3 faction. So that's an additional 2 rep. So 4 total. And then, yeah, you earn coin based on the nature of the operation. I think this was a small job.
There was a community donation.
Yeah. The Dockers kind of came together for a community donation, and they gave you all 4 coin to compensate some of the stuff that you brought together for this sort of thing. Do you feel that any of this coin is owed to Mix Freud for their participation and their funding?
I would say no.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, as a figurehead, yes, they did their job, but are they entitled to any compensation for that? No, because the payoff was their name kind of being put on the.
And yeah, we paid for most of the stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we hopped off a bit of coin here.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. So you get to keep all 4 of the coin for yourself, and now we're gonna do heat. Was this a smooth and quiet operation? Was it a contained operation? Was it loud and chaotic, or was it wild? What do you think?
I mean, just by the fact that our clock stayed below.
Yeah. I think out of all of our operations, this has probably been the smoothest.
I think so.
Let the record show, we can throw a party.
Yeah, you need to have more dinner parties, is what I'm hearing.
No joke. Benji agrees.
So I think a smooth and quiet operation that's 0 heat, that makes a lot of sense to me. But this is a high-profile target, so it's going to be +1 heat. And then it's not hostile turf. This is your turf. You're not at war, and there was no killing involved, except for those poor fish that served as food. And so you only get 1 heat for this entire score. And now we're going to do entanglements. So let's see here. Entanglements are going to be according to your wanted level, which is 1. And let's just do this here. No bonus dice. Just a 1. Okay. What is your total heat right now? Just 1? And that includes the result of this score.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, let's see. 1 heat. Gang trouble are the usual suspects. One of your gangs causes trouble due to their flaws. Lose face. We'll deal with that next time, but we know enough right now that we know the entanglement is going to be gang trouble. All right. One of your propagandists has overstepped their reach. And then last but not least, let's do some downtime actions. So we've got 2 more downtime actions per person that we can do this time. What kind of actions do you want to take? Does anybody have a clear thing that they want to do right away? Does everybody want to think about it for a little while? What's going on?
If Benji's going to partake in stress reduction, I would like to do that as well.
Yes, I will.
I will also be doing stress reduction if that matters.
I've got 6. How many do you have, Baron?
I have 5, so I mean, by all means, take the advantage.
Okay, if you don't mind.
I definitely don't.
Well, functioning vice, when you indulge your vice...
Actually, I think I want to use both mine for advancing my clock, so...
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. So, let's see here. Black is actually going to long-term project, and then long-term project again. Cool. So let's do the indulge vice rolls first. And Benji, you're going to help out Clank with that, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So both of you go ahead and give me your roll, and then we can adjust it accordingly as per Benji's special ability.
1 or 2, up or down.
All right, cool. So does that clear it for either one of you?
It does for me.
Nice.
Yeah,
If I can get 2 up, you said?
Yeah, 1 or 2, up or down.
Great. Yep, I'm cleared.
Yeah, I have 3 stress currently, so I'll just turn that 4 down 1.
Nice. Very nice indeed. Okay, cool. And we know that Black wants to work on the long-term project to mobilize the Dockers against Selene. All right. So let's see how that goes really quick. We're already halfway there. So what action are you going to use to continue to mobilize these Dockers against Selene?
Hunt.
Hunt.
I'm gonna go ahead and specifically target Selene for my my precision tactical removal of her from power.
Okay, very cool. I like that.
Is that gonna be two different roles since I'm using two different actions?
No, you're just hunting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just hunting, so that's fine.
So risky. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter for this. No.
Bam. 6.
A nice job. Very nice. Okay, cool. So that's going to be 2 segments, which means that you have gone from 3 out of 6 to 5 out of 6. You've almost done this. What kind of major breakthrough do you make in terms of tracking down or hunting down where Selene is vulnerable?
She's got ties to the Bluecoats. She's been paying them off, and I figured it out through, of course, the help of my valuable compatriots, both Benji and Clank. Maybe I connected both Mr. Fritz to Selene, getting the extra coin in their pockets.
Yeah, you've managed to track down that Selene has had some clandestine meetings recently that have involved separately Mr. Fitz and LaRose. There's some sort of connection between these 3.
I'm about to get to the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm. Very nice, very nice. And let's do downtime actions from the other folks too, and then we'll do your long-term project clock at the very end. So what other downtime actions do folks want to take?
I'm going to work on my secret project.
Okay, cool. Let's get a roll for that then. I think right now you have 5 out of 8 of those segments filled.
That is correct.
Cool.
So this is a tinker. Oh, just a 3.
Just a 3. So that's just going to be 1 segment on this thing then. So that'll take you up to 6 out of 8.
All right. Can I spend the coin and do another one real quick?
Sure, yeah. I mean,
Okay, so I'm going to take the coin that I would get from this thing. Do you guys want to add a coin to each of your thing?
Yeah, seems
So
like there's
you
consensus.
got
Yeah.
a coin.
I would definitely like to actually use it on my turn once we get to it again.
Yep. So remember, you got it though. So I'm gonna tinker again though, and see if I can finish my project. 4 this time. So
A 4. So that's going to be 2 more segments, which means you do complete it. Very nice.
okay, I didn't get to make it, but that's okay. So I would say Clank is, once they're all back, Clank is working on his project, and you guys got to work on it a little bit, but you hear him and say, "I've done it! Come in, guys, where are you?"
Benji will come in. What? Clank, it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
But I
Why
finished.
are you shouting?
I finished it. I figured it out.
We were sleeping.
John is actually snoring on like the futon. Like, what's going on?
Come in. I finished it.
Finish what, mate?
It's gonna solve all of our problems.
You found a bunch of money.
Well, in a way.
You managed to repel ghosts.
I would look quizzically at Benji, and then I would look like forlorn at Benji at the mention of ghosts.
Come take a look. And he has these plans in front of him for you to look at. Isn't it beautiful?
It's a drawing, Benji. Clank. It doesn't mean anything to me. What are we looking at?
It is an electroplasmic firework cannon.
Fine.
Hold on, mate. Hold on, mate. We destroyed a whole wharf.
Exactly. This
we
thing
don't
can
know.
destroy a whole wharf.
I'm going
with
back
one
to bed.
shot.
Good night.
Yeah.
No, you don't understand. We could sell that to the Leviathan hunters.
Like
Why
that-
would they want to destroy a wolf?
No, they could shoot it at a Leviathan.
But they haven't found any Leviathans, mate. They're looking for them.
Well, when they find one, it's a one-shot kill.
Actually, hold on, Benji. I think he's onto something. We could sell this. We could use this to our advantage.
And when you say he's onto something, you don't mean, oh yeah, maybe this could kill a Leviathan, because nothing can kill a Leviathan. But maybe it could be used to your advantage nonetheless.
LaRose.
A Leviathan.
A Leviathan of your very own.
A LaRosian.
Yeah, Benji's kind of like this close to just writing this whole thing off and leaving. And then like the tone in Black's voice as he's kind of like indicating maybe something else, maybe a LaRose. Benji kind of stops. Let's do it.
Right.
All right, very cool, very cool. So that is Clank's downtime activities. We've got one more from Benji, and then we've got this final long-term project from Black. So Benji, what do you want to do with the rest of your time?
Let's see. I think I'm going to work on more LaRose dirt.
Nice, okay. And are you still going to consort with Jenna in this situation, or are you going to find a different way to weaken LaRose?
I think. Okay. I think I'm actually going to finesse. Because we had established earlier that I can not only pick somebody's pocket, that I can plant evidence using finesse. I'm going to do that. I am going to plant evidence of. It's going to be forged, but it's going to be evidence of a payoff to LaRose.
Okay. Okay, so you are going to plant this on Jenna, or are you going to plant it on someone else?
No, I'm going to plant it on Fitz.
Ah, cool. Cool. To weaken LaRose. Nice. To apply like some sort of corruption or something. Okay, cool. So you are then halfway to fulfilling this clock. So why don't we go ahead and see if you can complete it this time. You're using finesse. Position and effect don't matter.
Yes.
A 6?
That's 6.
Nice. Very nice indeed. Okay, cool. So yeah, you've managed to set up a situation where LaRose is facing some public scorn, and it is an opportune time to take LaRose out of the picture, either straight up killing him or just shaming him into obscurity.
Nice.
Very good. And then last but not least, we've got this long-term project from Black to mobilize the Dockers against Selene.
I also have an ability that I can add an extra downtime if somebody needs one.
I mean, I'll take it.
Go for it.
Can I roll?
I still need to build my cannon.
That's a good point. That would be like acquiring an asset or something. And so Black could do your downtime action.
I'm going to go ahead and give it to Clank, and I'll just burn one of the coin to Indulge Vice.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I'm going to go ahead and do the long-term project first.
Okay.
So I've pushed people. I have, rubbed elbows. I'm gonna go ahead and invoke my newest skill set. I'm gonna see what kind of spectral dirt I can dig up on Celine.
Cool. Okay.
And I don't know if that's necessarily like skeletons in your closet as opposed to just using ghosts for this means.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna use a tune.
A tune makes sense.
With a 5.
That's a 5, so that'll add you one more, and I think that's all you need to complete this, right?
That is all I need.
Nice. Nice.
So
Yeah.
I managed to find the dirt that I'm looking for.
So here's the thing. Finn Colburn, your ghost pal. You attune, and Finn is a ghost who knows forgotten things, knows hidden things, right? And Finn comes to you and says,
The Sentinel, Celine, servant to Leviathan hunters and plotter in secret, a member of a ring beneath the surface, a ring
I forgot about the ring down below.
down
Oh,
below.
That just blew my mind for a second.
yeah, so you've discovered that Celine is
involved
somehow
with the ring down
connected to
below.
the ring down below. And you know that your buddy Velaris was curious to know more about this. And you know that
Yeah.
Triss had some information there too, the tattooist. So either one of those might be good sources for gathering information checks at the beginning of our next session.
Absolutely.
But right now, we're zipping over to Clank's workshop.
Well, actually, one more thing before I end my downtime. Can I spend one of the coin to indulge my vice to reduce my stress?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was going to do that at the very end, right?
Okay, yep.
No,
that's fine.
actually, so why don't you do that now?
Right. A 3. I'll take it.
3. Okay, cool. And then finally, we have Clank in his workshop with all this knowledge swirling around us. He's tirelessly working at his bench. What is this thing you're creating, Clank? What does it look like?
So it's a cannon. So he's been wanting to know if he can find people that can cast metal, because he needs a big metal barrel for a cannon. And it looks pretty similar to any normal cannon, except at the end is like a giant battery full of electroplasmic energy that shoots out of this thing in a bolt of light and energy and destructive power. And it's very pretty as well. But it's focused because of the cannon. And whereas the fireworks were more powerful, this focuses it into a narrow energy beam.
Very cool. All right, so you need to make a tinker roll to determine the quality of this prototype cannon that you've just crafted.
Mm-hmm. Standard or position effect don't matter, correct?
Position and effect don't matter. I do want to check one thing. Yeah, you do have a workshop, which means that it adds +1 quality to your result automatically.
And I am also an artificer, which gets me a +1 result level.
My goodness! So this is a total of +2 above what you're crafting, right? So go ahead and give me this roll, and let's see how this goes.
A 5.
A 5. Okay, so a 5 would normally be equal to your tier, but this is actually something that's 2 tier levels above. So this is like you are creating something that the Dockers would be proud of. You are a scrappy little canal racing team, and yet you've created a weapon that like the Dockers could use to even their footing in this situation. It's also something that's an equal contender against, say, the Bluecoats and LaRose. And so in your workshop, you're looking at this marvelous thing, the masterpiece of everything that you've made so far. And there's maybe a glimmer in your eye.
I etch my name in it. And then I etch Jonathan's name in it. And finally, I etch Benji's name in it. And a tear rolls down my eye.
And so our tale draws to a close for now, a hopeful end in the midst of direst danger. But remember to tune in next time for the thrilling season finale of Ring Down Below, presented by KMGX. Until next time, keep your eyes on the canals. We're on the prowl.